OST 2016. This is interviews, music reviews, opinions, and more. This is The Hodder Show.
What is up, everybody? We are on audio and video here today on The Hodder Show 5th year anniversary special. I hope that you guys are doing absolutely fantastic. Thank you so very much for tuning in and clicking that play button on this very, very unique episode of the podcast. We are here, guys. 5 years of the Hodder Show. I cannot believe it. It has been an absolutely crazy journey. All good when I say crazy, of course, as well. I want to thank you guys so much for all of your support over the last 5 years, especially if you've been with me since day one. I mean, what can I say? We're family at this point, seriously. And what I have here for you today is a collection of basically little interviews with people who were influential in the show, either in the early days or over the last 5 years. People who were either influential on me when I started the podcast, people who kind of helped craft me into the podcaster that I am today, people who were important behind the scenes, people who had been on the show a lot, especially in those early years when I really was kind of figuring out who I was as a podcaster, people who have sponsored the show, people who have been important to the show in one reason or another, and I dive into that with all of these people. You get basically a new interview essentially every 10-ish to 15, 20-ish minutes. So it's really, really cool. I'm very excited. It's a long one, but I promise every minute of it is worth it. I am so excited to share this with you guys. I worked very hard on this over the last couple of weeks. I want to thank everybody who was a part of this. This is going to be a really, really special episode for me for many, many, many years to come. And I'm so glad we got it all on video with this awesome new layout that my man, Mr. Jason Rees from Jaybird Digital Arts, designed. You see his logo right there, folks. Jason Rees, Jaybird Digital Arts, who I think you may or may not see a little bit later on in the podcast. But also on top of that, I have a ton of just very exciting guests and a couple people that I actually linked back up with that I hadn't spoken to in a while, and it was so much fun. I think in editing this, you guys are going to see, while I was editing this, I really could tell there's so many moments in this where just, you can see it on my face. I was smiling and laughing so much, my face is red and some stuff, and just, it was so fun. I had a blast doing this, so I really hope that it comes through. And I also have some very cool news that I'm not going to say anything about yet. A little bit later on in the podcast, maybe something in regards to this company here. Who knows? Maybe you'll see Mr. Joe Loving from Meanbeard a little bit here. Who knows? We'll see. But I, of course, want to thank Meanbeard and Jaybird Digital Arts for their sponsorships of this podcast. Both those companies have helped me immensely. Obviously, Jason, basically from day one. But we'll get into all that stuff. We are going to have a blast. So kick back. I would recommend watching this on, if you have a smart TV or something and you can get YouTube. I highly recommend watching it that way. That's how I'm going to watch through it once it's all done and it's up, because I think it's going to be really good on there. I put a lot of work into the video, so hopefully the picture is great. I'm very, very confident in this, and I'm confident you guys are going to enjoy it. Without further ado, here is the 5th year anniversary special from The Hodder Show. Brandon Bowden, what's up, buddy?
Not too much. Not too much.
There you go. Not too much. Wait for it.
No, I'm still dealing with these issues with my my interface.
Well, I mean, if you just stop buying all this new gear all the time and just
that's not an option. It's absolutely not an option.
See, but I say that, but then if you didn't keep buying new gear and then getting rid of your old gear, you wouldn't be helping
exactly what gear
would
you have.
Podcaster.
Yeah, exactly. You'd be talking to me through a tin can right now.
I'd be like, "Hey, everybody, we're here with Brandon Bowden."
Because of the pandemic, we're just in 2 separate rooms. We got two pop cans. Oh! So quickly, what are your thoughts on climate change?
How dare you? How dare you?
Oh God! Well, it's good to see you, man. It's I talk to you all the time, but it's good to physically see you and talk to you. Obviously, with the 5th year anniversary of the Hodder Show, doing my list, of course, your name was at the top, because it's funny because when I say without you, this podcast wouldn't have happened, some people are like, so did Brandon start it? I'm like, well, technically no, but what was so interesting was a story I've told a million times, but really quick. The whole reason the Hodder Show started was because of you, because you were doing something, and I don't know if you want to talk about it. But
I thought you were going to say because you kept on talking to me. I was like, hey, you need to go talk to somebody else. Like, who am I supposed to talk to? I'm like, go talk to a microphone.
Don't talk to someone else. I don't give a shit. Just go do something else. And you were doing the YouTube stuff, right? And
yeah.
I was gonna come on and help you with it, and then like the one night you couldn't do it, and I was like, I feel really creative tonight, and I started the podcast. So in a weird roundabout way, you are very much responsible for this podcast, because if that hadn't have happened in all that series of events, I don't know if I would have ever started this podcast.
Well, I mean, that's very nice of you to say, but like you could have started it and quit 10 episodes in, like most podcasts I started ever did.
I wasn't gonna say anything, but no.
No, be more than welcome. I've accepted it at this point.
You're the
I have good ideas, but they only interest me for a couple of weeks before I'm just like, nah, I'm good.
You're not someone who likes to stick around and do the same thing for a while.
No, I need to be behind the scenes and not like creating like right up front.
Oh, you like creating. It's just and on the topic of it, like another thing, obviously, why I wanted to make sure I had you on that note was, you know, you were a contributor day one with the Hodder Show. I mean, you were my first guest.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you were my first interview, quote unquote, even though, have you ever gone back and listened to that? Like,
no, no, I'm kind of scared too.
I tried. Oh no, you were great. It's so embarrassing. Because you basically kind of led me through it. Like, it's like you just kind of like, you were like, okay, TJ, so here's a stick. I'm going to put a Twinkie on it. And this,
all I had was my basic radio knowledge. That's basically all I had.
I mean, that's all better than what I had. So it's like, it was just funny because like you really helped kind of guide me through it. And then in doing that, you know, I was able to basically learn how to ask people questions essentially from doing that with you. And then I had Ryan on, which I was a freaking train wreck, but we'll talk about that later. But it's just funny looking back, man, because like, you know, you, and then obviously like we did that like bad dates episode, and then we did the wrestling stuff. And from there, eventually, once you started helping out with production, that's really when the show took a big level up. Right. And in doing that, and also while we're going, you teaching me production stuff.
Yeah.
Obviously not as much as you know, because that's far-fetched to think, but it's like you taught me so many just little things just, hey, I did this and here's why, and I would always run ideas off you. So like you're very important in the grand scheme of things for the Hodder Show because of, number one, your contributions creatively, but then also with production and stuff. I mean, my show wouldn't sound the way it does today, which even still, like I'll still put my show against most people. I'm like, I think I have pretty decent sound quality and stuff. Yeah. So
I'm considering a lot of, you know, now that everybody, like you were doing this before everybody had a podcast. So now that everybody in the, you know, their uncle has a podcast now, there's varying amounts or varying qualities of podcasts, if you will. You know, some are literally recorded on phones or on laptop mics and stuff like that. So I was like, okay, if he's going to start this thing and like, I kind of could tell from an early point, you were probably going to stick with it. So I'm like, okay, he's got to do it the right way. And like, not a lot of people have access to somebody who knows that kind of stuff. And I'm not trying to like brag or anything. I just happen to know it. And so I was just like, you know what, you might as well tell him what to do. Cause like, it's not, I tried doing the podcasting thing. It wasn't for me. I'm not committed enough to it. I just didn't happen for me. So
it takes a lot of commitment.
Yeah. Really, and it just wasn't something I was going to willing to commit to. So I was just, you know what, you can just at least impart all that knowledge you have on him so he can like at least make his thing sound good. And he's not going to embarrass himself for, you know, 2 years in, he's still recording on a GarageBand on his phone, 10-minute segments of a show.
Can we talk about that for a minute? Okay, for those of you who are not aware, I literally started recording this podcast on an old iPhone, obviously not this, but an old iPhone. This would actually have been better.
Like the technological equivalent to trying to start a fire with rubbing two sticks together. That's how you were making the first couple podcasts. Yeah,
pretty much. And when I did upgrade to, well, upgraded to a laptop and a full system.
Yeah.
The reason why, like, Brandon was always helping from day one, giving me pointers and stuff. But when you came on officially, like, okay, let me just start doing your production for you, was when it was in the dark days of the Hodder Show, when I was doing 2 episodes a week, which in the grand scheme of things was great because I learned a lot about podcasting, but it also wore me out very quickly. So I was ready to quit podcasting because I was just like, I'm done. I don't want to do this anymore. And that's when you were like, look, if you're just having an issue with editing and stuff, you're like, I can probably do it in what would take me an hour might take you a few minutes, you know? So,
yeah. And once I really got a chain going and and a while there, I was actually just editing it in real time. I would just listen to the whole thing because I was pretty much listening every week at that point anyways. So I was just like, I was going to be listening to it first anyway. So it was like having a Patreon, being in your Patreon without paying into it.
Something like that. It's like having an ad-free shows, but like I show up every week.
Exactly.
Ooh, calling out Bruce Pritchard. I'm just kidding. I love Bruce Pritchard. It's okay. I don't pay for ad-free shows, so I don't care. It's fine.
Now what the hell, TJ?
now, stabbed. Wow, that's not Bruce Pritchard. I can't do Bruce Pritchard, but goddamn, this guy in the Hodder Show. Can you imagine?
Now we've been in the news a little bit this week, Bruce. You know,
is that your Conrad Thompson?
There's been this guy down at, well, you know, there's been this guy out in Canada doing this shtick about you not doing ad-free shows every week. You want to respond to that, Bruce? But hell, I work 20. That sounds more like corny.
I work 23 hours.
I work 21 and a half hours a week, and I only have 2 hours of sleep.
And if you knew I was getting 2 hours of sleep, you'd be pissed. Hey, pal, I'm going to talk to you for a minute.
Also, you were the guy holding the gun to his head that made him go back to Vince.
Yeah, it was me. It's all.
We're getting too far off track. All the people who don't know anything about wrestling.
We're bringing it back. But at the end of the day, the main reason I wanted to have you on for this, I mean, mainly it was just an excuse to talk to you. But also, it's like I wanted to make sure I put a spotlight on the fact that, you know, what you did, as much as I know you're going to be like, oh, you know, whatever, that's just you. But it's like having that person who was a professional radio person who knew what they were doing to kind of be like, hey, maybe don't do this. Hey, that was good what you did, do that. And hey, here's why I'm doing this certain thing production wise. And like now it's to the point where when I edit my own stuff, like I catch things now that I used to not catch, you know?
Yeah.
So it was
that's just an attention to detail thing, and that takes years to figure out.
Not to mention there's stuff.
It's nice when you can have the heads up on and be like, oh, okay. Yeah. So, and especially when they're like little weird things and little quirky things, it's like stuff you can remember. Mm-hmm. So, like
I remember now, like even there's something like normalizing something, right? Like making sure everything's leveled, whatever. Like little things like that. I'm always like, okay, I don't want to be louder than my guests, and even just when I'm recording.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I'll listen, like, okay, I want everything around this dB so I can do this. But
yeah. And everything has this different like preset stuff. Like YouTube's got its settings, and Apple Podcast probably has its settings, and Stitcher probably has, you know, they're all different that way. Mm-hmm. So it's going to sound different on any platform, and you have to consider, how are people listening? Oh, they're listening in their cars, they're listening on headphones, listening through their phone. You're not going to sound great, exceptionally fantastic on every device. It's just never going to happen.
Yeah, but it's like, let's try and do something. Like I listen to my show on a lot of different things, like when I do listen, just to see how it levels out. And it's pretty consistent the way I have things set now. I mean, it sounds best on headphones, obviously, but it's like, you know, and that's something that you brought to the table where it's like, okay, here's what we can do. And not to mention like creative ideas. Like, hey, I'd love to hear you talk about this, or for God's sakes, you were responsible for my spinoff podcast, for God's sakes. Like that was something I hemmed and hawed about doing 2 guys in a game. And I was like, I think I want to do this podcast. I don't know what I do. And, you know, you were like, I'm not fucking doing it, so don't even ask. And it was you who called me and you were like, yo, who is this Zach guy? And I was like, oh, it's my buddy Zach Oakham. He's like, that's your co-host. And I was like, really? You're like, yeah. I was like, oh, okay. And basically, Two Guys in a Game was born. I couldn't think of a name, and you were like, what about Two Guys in a Game? And I was like, pfft. And that whole thing, again, was basically from the mind of Brandon Bowden. Like, really, that was, I wouldn't have thought, I didn't think we had that kind of chemistry to where I was like, hey, we could co-host a show together. I thought he was great, but I was like, I didn't know if we quite were on par, and you were like, no, man, that's your co-host.
Yeah, no, it's pretty easy to hear when two people have chemistry, but it's hard to hear, I think, when you're in the middle of that chemistry, if that makes any sense.
Definitely. Like now, I've spent the last little bit going back and listening to a lot of older stuff, and I've listened to basically the entire Two Guys in a Game discography, and like, I get very sentimental about Two Guys in a Game because it was also a project you were so heavily involved in too, with all of the little sound bites you did and stuff like that, and the voiceover stuff, and like, that's some of my favorite stuff ever. Like, I'm very proud of that body of work, and like, so much of that was because of you. I mean, I was the worst gaming podcaster ever, but that's beside the point. Like, it's just
I thought you guys were entertaining. I loved it.
I mean, I'll say this: we were a very entertaining show.
Oh yeah.
Was it a great gaming podcast? But it was a very entertaining gaming podcast for sure. If you came for gaming content, you're gonna have a bad time.
And people are watching this and they're wondering why I look over here. You're on a big screen right here, and then my webcam's over here. Just in case people are like, what is he staring off into the sky for?
Yeah. I'm not. He was staring into our eyes, guys, because it looked like he was staring into my eyes. Like I was looking into your eyes when you were looking at the webcam, but I was getting a little distracted, so it's okay. But but I mean, man, it's cool because like now, like even still to this day, I mean, I still run stuff by you all the time. There's times where like you'll give me little pep talks and stuff for this day still, and I'm just like, yeah, I am a podcaster who's okay at this. Let's do it. And like, for God's sakes, there's something I'm working on right now that like I'm not really going to talk about it, but there's this project I'm slowly working on that already we've had a little back and forth on, and I'm like, yo, yeah, this could be very cool. And like, you know, no matter what happens, you're always going to have some involvement because like, I mean, not to mention you're my best friend, and I always want you involved in my life.
Like the senior advisor to the Hodder Show.
Basically, yeah. You're the.
Even though you are older than me, I am the senior advisor.
Yeah, by a month.
I mean, people don't need to know that.
You are the Dave Silva to my Conrad Thomas. Actually, no. Technically, what does Dave Silva do? He does his graphics. Nothing. He doesn't do nothing. No.
According to Conrad and Bruce, nothing.
He breaks Conrad's cars and eats fried chicken.
Don't even get me to start on what Shivani thinks of him. Jesus Christ.
Oh God. But yeah, no, it's great, man, and I just want to say thank you for everything. I mean,
man, it's been a pleasure.
But you know, we're the fifth.
I'm just glad you didn't quit.
Yeah, so am I. Trust me, because there's been more than a few times between you and Jason, especially like the two of you guys. Like, there's been more than once where you guys have talked me off the ledge. I'm not gonna lie. There's been more than once where it's like
this podcast either goes one of two ways in the end. The legacy of this podcast is like the podcast that never ever got the respect this deserves, and people are making like 45-minute YouTube documentaries on it. Or you just end up being the next Joe Rogan. So either way, you got a pretty cool, either get a 45-minute YouTube video that some like fanboy makes, or you turn into Joe Rogan. So either way, it's pretty cool.
Either way, it's a win. Like,
yeah. You're not going to get rich off the YouTube video, but the Joe Rogan thing, there's some cash there, and you get a pretty cool studio out of it.
Right? I'll take a closet at this point. Like, I mean, I'm grateful to have my corner, but I might get a closet in our new place.
Now you can even turn that into a nice little space. You can turn that into an interview room.
I could, and I
think
will.
Joe Rogan's studio isn't much bigger than that.
Yeah, it's probably a closet.
Exactly. He just has a bunch of mirrors to make it look bigger. That's all you do.
Bunch of curtains.
Yeah, bunch of curtains and mirrors. Curtains and mirrors, and just like have it like make it look like it's like, this is where our the fifth story of Hodder Towers.
It's just like
it's a room.
It's a cardboard box.
It's a room with mirrors and like scenes of like being high up in like a New York skyrise, and it's just a whole optical illusion. But it's
Hodder Show Studios in New York City.
Yeah, and it's Hodder. Yeah.
TJ, Aren't you in Peterborough? No.
Are those palm trees in your green screen? Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So, all of a sudden,
Florida,
the
New
dude walks
York.
by. Dude walks
Florida,
by.
New
It's
York.
like,
It's
no.
fine.
Yeah. The green screen moves ever so slightly. Oh, gee. Uh-oh. Oh, man. Well, before we go, I, of course, want to give you a minute just to say what have you been up to the last – we haven't obviously heard from you on the Hodder Show for a while. So what have you been up to kind of the last 2-ish years, give or take?
Doing voice work, man. That's been pretty much my thing. I got laid off from the radio stuff for like 6 months during the pandemic, which was what it was. So then I picked up some voiceover stuff, and now it's kind of really picking up. So I'm just trying to keep all that caught up, and yeah.
And he's all over the place too, folks. There's a few YouTube series that actually like Dave basically he's the voice of their channels now. So like that's cool. That's
I do like.
He did a toy commercial too.
I did a toy commercial. I did actually. I'm doing I won't say what any. I don't know any details about it, but I know I'm doing an actual toy. I'm going to be an actual toy.
What?
Cool.
This is news to me.
Yeah, I'm gonna have it's a little like kids toy it's a little dinosaur toy for like kids that like they try to feed it little things and the thing makes noises like and all that. And I'm like I do all the noises for it. So it's just me making nonsense noises and
please give us a sample, please.
So they wanted can you do something like they wanted like a chewing one, so I was like so yeah, that kind of stuff.
I thought you were gonna be like talking for a toy, but that's even better.
Oh no!
I am so getting that toy, and it's going right here on my desk.
Oh, I'm getting two, and I'm gonna give one to my nephew, and I'm gonna just put one. Like I'm just gonna have one.
Oh yeah, I'm definitely getting one too. I want it to be at Hodder Show Studios desk here for sure. So
I did that, and then yesterday I booked another like a carpet place in Thunder Bay.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, End of the Roll in Thunder Bay. It's the place is called.
The voice of End of the Roll in Thunder Bay.
Yeah. There's one here there's one in Oshawa as well.
Oh, well there you go.
Yeah, but so I did that yesterday. I picked up a bit of money just from doing a couple 30s, so that was kind of cool. And I picked up a YouTube cartoon called I don't know exactly what it's called, but it's like two little alien dudes that just kind of are off in space, and they do like kind of like these I think they do like historical documentaries through these cartoons or something.
Oh,
but it's like so I voiced like the two characters, and they're like computerized little thing there.
So they're like they're like different sounding characters. You made them sound different, obviously.
Yeah.
I'm assuming, or like
one kind of one sounds like it was almost like a multi like the vibe I got from the character was almost like a multi-universe racist. Like it sounds like he's kind of like,
oh no,
it sounds like he's kind of like against like maybe certain kind of aliens. And so I kind of like channeled my inner like, and nobody's gonna get this, but my inner Archie Bunker from all of the. So I gave him kind of like a New York accent, like kind of with like the Brooklyn way or the Queens way with it, and then like the other one was just like looked like a nerdy kind of. So I gave him like, oh my god, no, like that kind of voice. And then of course they have like a computer voice, so I gave it the standard your assistant here, like that kind of thing, and then filtered it properly. So I'm going to be doing that. So, but I don't know when that's getting started. But so yeah, I've been getting booked for a lot of stuff, and I booked this job to doing this detective stuff. It's called Detective Void.
Oh yes, yeah, you were telling me about that.
Yeah, it's on YouTube. I've never heard of the actual I hadn't heard of the genre before. It's like these like fan created monster objects that like they do these really like elaborate like animations on and then post videos to them. It's really neat. I'd never heard of it, but it's pretty neat.
That sounds sweet.
Yeah. So that's been that's what I've been up to.
Well, that's awesome, man. Well, I mean, I'm so happy for you that because I mean you've been talking about that for years, doing the voiceover stuff. So I'm proud of you that you were able to not that you were able to do. I knew you'd be able to do it, but pulling the trigger on it and really getting into it heavy, man. It's been awesome to watch from the sidelines, and you've been killing it. And I mean, you're also, of course, the official voiceover guy for the Hodder Show. But, that's the
only problem is it keeps you like hidden in your basement. Yeah. A lot of the time, so that's the only problem with it. Yeah, but it's been good. It's good pandemic work.
Yeah,
because you don't have to leave. Although I still have the one job where I actually have to go to work. Even though I don't really like it.
You don't really work, but you have to work.
No, I go to work and I do work, but it's nothing I couldn't do for my house. So it's like,
do I really need to go?
But I'm not gonna die on that hill. It's nice to still get out of the house every day.
Yeah, definitely so, because a lot of people are not able to. So
Exactly.
definitely good to be able to do that. Well, all right, buddy. I know you're a busy man, so I'll let you go and get back to voicing dinosaurs and
All
things
right,
of that
but
nature. So
all right, buddy. And you keep your throat lubricated. I know you're doing a couple more interviews.
yeah, so I'm gonna make some tea and then
Say
see
hello
what
to
else we're gonna-
Cazador for me. I don't
Oh,
want to.
I
I don't
will.
mean to break. I don't mean to break the fourth kayfabe, but I heard he's next.
Yeah, I'm actually gonna have him after you in this now because I think
There you
that's gonna be really funny. I'll let him know you say hi.
All right, sounds good.
All right, brother. I'll talk to you later.
See you guys. Man.
What's up, everybody? I'm Hodder,
And I'm Kaz.
and this is Two Guys at a Game on the Hodder Show 5-year anniversary. Kaz,
Just when you
what's
thought
up,
we
buddy?
were dead, they brought him back.
Cazador Jones looking all grown up and rugged. What's up, man?
I've been places. I've been to space, TJ. It's crazy up there.
He has seen some things in the last little while.
It's
Man,
not fun out there. It's not fun out in the wild. You gotta
Space is
fight.
crazy.
No, it's good. Everything's great. Life's great. You know, it's on track to where it needs to be. I feel like it's finally going in the right direction. So
That's awesome, man. Well, obviously, you know, now Two Guys at a Game has been done for a little while now, but like we were still working together, so I was still seeing you all the time. Then now neither of us work together. You left before me, and then now I am no longer there either. So I literally haven't seen you or spoken to you till now.
yeah,
Been
that's
definitely
true.
the longest we've gone without
It has
talking.
been a really long time. Yeah, there's been a lot of it's interesting. It's just it's been different. You know, it's been a different experience going off into the world and just growing up with like with somebody else too, like being in like an amazing couple with somebody, and you know what that's like, and just growing with a person, and actually like every day is just so fun to learn and so exciting to love. I know that sounds really cheesy, but that is the truth.
Nice,
And
though.
and to have that person with you, and no matter what you're going through in life, even like if you're quitting your job or you're stressing about silly things like that, you know, she's always there, or they're always there to like just bring you right back to where you need to be at the end of the day. And that's what I love most about this so much. It's my dream life I get to live finally, no matter what I'm doing. Even if it's the worst day possible, I'm still living my dream life because she's here, and it's great.
Oh, that's so nice.
Yeah,
Cazador Jones, ladies and
She's
gentlemen.
fishy, but it's the truth. And Cazador Jones has a heart. Okay.
Yes. He's grown up a lot in the last I don't know, as he power chugs some Coke Zero. But yeah.
Oh my gosh, yeah. And I should just add some extra facts about Cazador Jones, and I'm not going
Okay.
to go off on a tangent like I usually do, but I'm very proud to announce that Cazador Jones does no longer drink at all, dry,
Oh, okay.
like completely. Like I think I had a drink on New Year's maybe, and that's
New
it,
Year's
though.
though.
That's New Year's. Like I do not drink. I just have officially quitted smoking. This is my first week without a cigarette. So there you go.
Good.
Growing
good.
up is right. I totally
Wow.
agree with you now. But that's all because of the girl. It all ties back into the girl.
Oh, well, that's nice. And you're growing a beard now, which is cool.
Yeah, I'm
That's
not allowed to
good.
shave it off ever either. It's a pretty nice rule to have.
That's not bad.
Yeah, I'm not allowed to shave it. Like it's got to stay on. So I like it.
We'll get you some beard product. It'll be great. But but man, like obviously going through my list as I've been talking about, you know, the last little while here doing this 50th anniversary show. Obviously, going through my list of people I wanted to have on as the people who were important in the history of the Hodder Show. Obviously, Cazador motherfucking Jones is one of those people because you were my first official co-host on the spinoff show of the Hodder Show, Two Guys in a Game. So obviously, you know, you being my first co-host, you were someone that because you were the way you are as far as with our dynamic, it was, you know, I was very much the straight man and I had to be the straight man.
Yeah, you had to keep us on track.
Yeah, exactly. So with doing that, I learned more how to help keep things focused, or if we went off, how to bring things back. And that was so important now for, as the Hodder Show is continuing to grow and as I'm doing more interviews and stuff, that is so important, man. And it's just,
Oh yeah.
you guys in a game it was so fun, you know what I mean? And we've we've reminisced tons of times about it, you know, and doing that epilogue episode we did earlier last year. For those of you who didn't hear it, you definitely go check it out. I'm very proud of the Two Guys in the Game body of work. And like I said to you, I've been going back and listening through the entire discography of Two Guys in a Game. And I'm like, man, we had so much fun and it was great. And I learned so much doing that podcast. I learned so much from even just from doing it with you and the dynamics. And, you know, so I just want to say thank you, because you really were an important part of this whole journey. And I don't know if you realized how much you affected the Hodder Show as well with doing Two Guys in the Game with me, but it really did affect it, man. It really did.
Well, I'm glad. I mean, honestly, it's always my dream to do something like that. As you know, like I've always been fascinated with any voice work that I can do. So to be included in anything and for just great setup, great editing work, great producing, like honestly, just the production on that.
Oh, by the way,
holy,
by the way, I forgot to say this at the end of Brandon's segment that you guys literally just saw. He said hi to you. I forgot to say hi.
Oh, really?
Brandon literally was like, say hi to Kaz. So if you want to say hi to Brandon, I'll make sure he sees it.
Yeah, I'll say hi. Hi, Brandon. I hope you're doing good. Producer.
Yeah, he's totally in the voiceover world now, man. Like fully.
Oh,
I should send you.
Guy.
Remind me to send you some of his stuff. You'll freak. It's
okay. I can't wait till he's famous enough that he can get us in. All right, I'm
right?
waiting for the day. I am talented enough to take on any role, and I can prove it right now, mathematically. Okay, here's the math. Oh, Rick, you didn't ask for that. Shut up, Morty. Just shut up. Season 4 is on a cliffhanger. Just shut up. That's what Rick would say if he was here right now.
And he made an appearance. And man, it all comes full circle, because that was how you came on the Hodder Show for the first time, doing the Rick and Morty podcast and just us having fun. Do you remember kind of that first initial podcast, like what your thought was real quick? Like did you?
Yeah. Like at first I was just like, oh man, I'm like, I hope I don't screw this up, because like, I'm like, I don't want TJ to be like, okay, that was okay. Maybe we'll do another one like later on down the road. Like, but like when you were like, came back to me and you're like, oh my gosh, like, my producer heard this and he said we have a show, and I was just like, oh, okay. And he's just like, yeah, we're gonna do a show. Do you want to do it? I was like, yeah, of course. I'm like, that's my dream. But I was like, I didn't think you were gonna ask me to do it. It was just like an instant like connection, but you're like, I couldn't say no, because it was what I wanted to do. It's my passion. And even if it meant something like just in your garage or your basement or wherever we were, it was so important to me to make sure that we made it happen no matter what. No matter what. And we did.
And we did, and you know, we did a lot of podcasts don't make it to 50 episodes, man.
50 episodes. I thought about it the other day. Yeah.
And it's always going to be there. It's not like it's ever going to go away. It's always going to be there. There's so much great content there. And we had so much fun doing it, which was, you know, that was almost the more important thing of the whole thing, was that we had so much fun. And sometimes at that point, because I was doing so much, I think sometimes I forgot to stop and smell the roses sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
I can admit that now, that like looking back, I was like, man, I really wish I had kind of stopped a little more and appreciated certain things. I mean, I was always very sentimental, you know.
Oh yeah, you were. You knew what you had. You never didn't know what you had, you know. Like, but yeah, I get it. Like, you don't really know the good times have gone until they're gone, and that's why they are the good times. Because right now they're not the good times, but there's always going to be that moment of nostalgia where you're like, oh, remember back then when they.
Remember when we could go to Arby's anytime and eat in the restaurant? And
yeah, I remember that.
In person.
Remember when it didn't look like Borderlands 3 outside? Oh, damn. I just think about that. Like next year, everyone's just going to be wearing psycho masks and we're just going to be killing each other because COVID's not going anywhere. So.
Oh, jeez, man.
Oh, man. Nobody's buying anything. Ugh.
It's crazy, man. But I mean, you know, again, you know, I wanted to make sure Cazador Jones made an appearance on this, so I'm really glad that we were able to link up, even just for a quick thing, and just say hi and update the good people on what Cazador Jones has been up to. And there's a couple people I'm going to make sure I send this to who were asking about you the other day. So I'm going to make sure I do that. Do you have anyone you want to shout out real quick? Or
well,
excuse me, hang on, sorry about that. I do believe it is now time for some shout-outs.
Shout-outs initiated.
Look at that. Shouts to the cast.
Well, I just want to thank the good Rees of Jaybird Digital Arts for his logo for our show.
Yes.
It is great. It is great. But the Time for a Tangent one that I've just seen is even better. It was like it was meant to be. And one day it will happen. I feel that in my blood.
I think we should just say here now officially, I'm sick of not saying it. Eventually Time for a Tangent is going to happen. And we're not going to tell you guys it's coming. We're just going to launch it. But it's going to happen one day.
It's just going to be time for a tangent, okay? It's not just going to be like, oh, next Friday. No, it's just going to be time.
It's going to be time, and we're going to drop a bunch of stuff, and you guys are going to be like, what just happened? And we'll be like, it's time for a tangent, yo.
I'm like, oh, what's that? Oh, what's that? A tangent.
Oh, look, there's a tangent. Oh, look, there's a tangent. Oh, boy. All right, Cazador. Well, it's great to see you, man. I'm glad we were able to do this, and I'm sure we will hear from Cazador Jones again soon, sometime in the future.
Well, thanks for having me, Hodder. It's always a pleasure.
All right, thanks, buddy. Take care.
You too.
Tony, what's up, buddy?
Hey, buddy. How's it going? I missed you. Holy shit.
I miss you too, man. Holy cow, it is so good to see you, man.
Yeah, dude. It's been forever. It's actually really nice to see your face. It's been way too long and way too depressing of a time.
It has been, man. This past year and a half and stuff has just been, it's been brutal. So I'm hoping that this is a little bit of a fun shining light in the middle of this weird stuff going on in the world and everything right now for everybody.
Yeah, dude. No, I'm super excited to be here. I'm just excited to be talking with you again, man.
Yeah, man. Well, I mean, full disclosure, we've already been catching up for like an hour, guys. So we're already past all the catching up stuff. But when I started writing out my list for this little, or very long at this point, little video thing that I'm doing here in celebration of 5 years of the Hodder Show, I was like, I got to make sure I have people on, blah, blah, blah. And I started going down my list, and I came to Anthony, and I'm like, obviously he has to be involved. I'm like, I don't know what he's up to these days. So I hadn't talked to you in a while. And it was just like, yes. And I'm like, fuck yeah, let's do it. So I'm glad. And, Anthony busted out his nice new microphone for me and everything. And
yeah, dude. Busted out of the box just today. Like, that's how excited I was. I was like,
he literally bought a mic just for this, guys. No.
100%. Yep. Fun fact,
man.
though, I was actually looking into buying a better camera. I was this close from pressing the order button on Amazon. Be like, I need to look good for this occasion.
Well, I mean, you do look fantastic. I like that shirt too, by the way. That's a nice.
Oh, thank you.
Shirt. It's all fancied up.
Yeah, dude, I'm ready for the ball.
I'm ready for the ball. I like that. But the reason why specifically I wanted to make sure I had you on for this, you were the first reoccurring guest in the history of the Hodder Show that wasn't someone who was directly involved with it, like Brandon or Ryan. They don't count. But when I had you on the first time, like, you and I had chatted before, but it wasn't until we did that podcast that I was like, oh, there's more here. It's not just like there's just some kind of an interesting chemistry we had.
Yeah, I completely agree, dude.
Yeah. So I was like, when we were done chatting, I still remember, like, I think near the end, you were like getting in this really good story about something. And I was like, dude, like, I gotta go. So I kind of had to cut you off. And then I was like, man, I got to have you back on. And you were like, I mean, I'm free tomorrow. And I was like, let's do it. I had you back. And we did a second part there. And then fast forward, like, I think maybe a month, you came over again and we recorded 2 episodes back to back that same day. That I was like, hey, I'm just going to keep these like in the can. Because I was like, just in case, right?
Yeah.
And I remember the one that we literally spoke about, like, I think it was half an hour we spoke about, I can't remember what was you were working, but it was like meat or whatever. I don't remember what.
Oh, I think at that time. Oh yeah, I was working at Helenda's, I think.
Yeah, that was it. Helenda's.
Yeah. I was literally a butcher shop. Yeah.
I was asking you about a bunch of like different like roasts and stuff, and you were explaining it, and I was like, yo, that sounds delicious. And then, of course, one of my favorite things was when you showed me the Alolan form of Executor, the Pokemon, and that was fun. But it's cool, man, because aside from the fact, obviously, that recurring guest and all that, you also another reason why I wanted to make sure I had you on here as a representative from out of my league, who RIP, who of course were I didn't mean to say that funny. I meant to be genuine about that because
I know.
Yeah. But of course, out of my league were one of the first bands that I really covered and I really spoke about a lot. One of the theme songs for the show that I pictured in my head when I started the show was 6 Feet Under, that intro, you know. So I just really wanted to make sure I had John for this, just kind of as a little, hey, here's why he's important in the history of the Hodder Show. And, you know, but going back, do you remember when I first had you on the show? Like, do you remember those episodes at all that we had recorded?
Vividly. Yeah, dude, like I actually really cherish those memories. Those were days I legitimately had a really good time. Like, I remember heading to your house and I was super nervous, obviously, first day. But yeah, that day when we just started talking, things were just naturally rolling and it just felt great. Like, and when you said like we should do it again, I told you I was free the next day because I genuinely was like, okay, I really want to do this again. This was a lot of fun. Yeah, I remember a lot of those. I remember telling some pretty deep stories. I remember getting into just stupid shit. And yeah, dude, I genuinely remember having a lot of fun with those episodes.
Yeah, and then like we did like some gaming talk and it was fun, man. And I remember there's been a few times in history that I can remember when my buddy, Mr. Brandon Bowden, who was a producer of the show, of course, for a while. Yeah. He called me and he was like, hey, man, if you ever decide to have a co-host on the Hodder Show, he's like, I think it should be that guy. And I was like, I agree. Because it was just so fun. And, you know, like I told you, like, you know, I seriously was considering it. And the only reason I didn't pull the trigger on it, because I was like, man, I don't know how we're going to figure this out schedule-wise, because my schedule was already messed. And I was recording at all hours of the day and night. So I was like, I remember no idea how we'd pull this off. But
yeah, I remember you like stretching one way to the other just for guests, like just like I need to like figure this time out, and I know I work until this time, but god damn it, I'm gonna figure it out.
Yeah. Hey, if I have to get up at 3 a.m. to record and edit, and you know, oh well, I can record at this time. Well, I work at that time, but like if I have to drive home on my break to, you know. Not that ever happened, but sorry guys. Whew, I apologize about that. Something caught my throat. But like the thing is like I had so much fun on that, and you were one of the first people that like, and one of the only people still to this day, to be honest, too, where like after I spoke with you, I was like, I want to do that again immediately. Like it was so fun, and that was a series of conversations that really helped kind of boost my confidence as well, because I was like, you know, I realized with that I can be a little more relaxed, especially when you have the right people on. Like when you have the right people on, and you like, not saying that other people weren't great, because everyone I've had on the show, in my opinion, has always been good the last 5 years. You know, I've never had a bad interview, knock on wood. So obviously some people are more nervous than others and things of that nature, but you were someone who really like, I was like, hey, when you have the right person and they're comfortable, and you even said to me, like when you showed up the first, and you were like, I'm really nervous. And I was like, oh no, we're just having a conversation, man. Like we're just talking. That's all it is, right?
Oh, absolutely. It's really hard to keep that in mind though. Like when you're in the mindset, right? Like of like, especially coming from a guy that had never done it before. And I was always just used to being on the kit, which is at the back, which no one really looks at. They just go, oh, that guy's swinging his arms a lot. He looks like he's working hard. So having the attention kind of focused on me was very off-putting at first. But like you said, man, like we just started riffing off each other. Just the vibes were there. It was just a really fun time. Like genuinely some of my favorite memories that I have.
Well, I'm honored, man. And I'm glad that you feel that way. Because I do too, man. Again, like I said, the second I started running out that list, you were like, don't tell anyone else. You were like literally one of the first like 5 people. And that includes Jaybird Larts and like everyone. I was like, Anthony, underline, exclamation point. Like I was like, I need to make this happen.
Well, that actually
wanted an excuse to reach out to you and be like, hey, hey girlfriend, remember me?
And I'm super glad you did, man. Like, just catching up today has been fantastic. Like, I haven't had this good of conversation in a long time. So I really appreciate you reaching out, man.
Yeah, man, definitely so. And I mean, you know, I would ask kind of what's new and exciting in your life, but obviously, like right now, I know it's a little rough skis with the old pandemic, but something I wanted to ask, and I'm putting you on the spot with this here.
Oh God.
You had mentioned to me a while ago about wanting to maybe looking into start streaming. Has there been any more thought put into that, or?
Yeah, actually, just recently, especially with the turn of the year and stuff, just kind of realizing I'm not doing much other than just kind of sitting around just like everyone else. So I am edging ever so much closer to finally starting to stream. I'm hoping to start within the next month, but I just have to see what the situation is. But yeah, I'm hoping to start streaming relatively soon.
Yeah. Okay. I told you I was going to put you on the spot for that. So there you go. You heard it here first, folks. At
Hodder
some point,
exclusive.
Hodder Show exclusive on the 50th year anniversary. It's going to happen. I'm going to keep on him. I'm going to keep on him, guys. It's going to happen.
All right.
I'll be looking forward to that. And we'll have you back when that happens, I'll have you back on and we'll have a full chat. How's that?
Hell yeah. Sounds good, man.
That's your reward for streaming.
I was hoping it'd be a cookie.
Oh, I mean, you know, I'll get you a cookie. What kind of cookie you want?
Yes. Damn it, now you put me on the spot.
How about a nice oatmeal? How about a nice oatmeal raisin?
Oh, why'd you give me raisin in that?
Yeah.
You had me at oatmeal and then you said raisin.
Okay, so how about like a nice like homemade oatmeal chocolate chip cookie? How's that?
See, there we go.
Okay.
That sounds like homely and comforting. I'm totally down.
I'll make it myself. It'll be great.
Really? Can you bake?
It'll be burnt, but it'll be great.
Oh, okay. Well,
I can't bake for shit.
We'll make it together. It'll be fun.
There we go. And then you can stream and I'll hang out in the background and eat cookies. I'll be like, yeah, this will be great.
Fuck that, dude. That will be the stream. Us baking cookies.
Yes. Us baking. Okay. Listen, you guys here, I'm saying it right now. At some point, there's going to be either a video or a live stream of the two of us baking cookies. It's done.
I've put this into the existence now. Oh no.
I'm writing it in my notes. It's going to happen now. We'll schedule it and we'll just do it. Because that's how much fun it was having you involved with the Hodder Show. And I just want to say, I wanted to have you on mainly just to say thank you for all your support and being such a great guest. And it's so nice reconnecting with you, man. It really is.
Thank you, man. I really appreciate all that. Like we already said, this past year has been absolutely brutal. But like just the fact that you came and reached out to me, you know, just means the world to me. And I'm super thankful and super happy just to even be talking with you right now. So it really does mean the world that you think so highly. Yeah.
Well, it means the world to me too, man. So it's good to see you and it's good to talk to you. I'm sure we'll keep bullshitting, but we'll sign off here. But thank you so much again for everything, man, and all your support with the Hodder Show. And I have a feeling, I'm sure we'll see you soon again.
Looking forward to it, buddy. Good job on the show.
Thank you, man. I'll talk to you. Ladies and gentlemen, the beers are on ice, the mics are hot, and the video is rolling. This is the Mics and Beers podcast on the Hodder Show 5th year anniversary special. Woo!
And to hear, I thought we were dead.
Oh my goodness. Well, we have we used to call him the heel on the Hodder Show. Let's go back to that for a minute. The heel RW, Hodder Show OG, and also, of course, the co-host of Mics and Beers podcast, along with Miss Samantha RQ Luxton. But of course, in true Mics and Beers fashion, before we continue, ready? Go. Oh yeah. Okay.
It's like
cheers.
Not
buddy.
even out of practice. Cheers. Wow, good intro though, fella. Happy to be back on the Hodder Show since the heel RW has been long and dead for years, and CraftWoody has replaced him. But you know, I'm happy to be here, celebrating 5 years. Who would have thought?
Yeah, man, it's crazy. Like, obviously, going through my list, you were someone obviously I had to have on, man, because in the beginning of the Hodder Show, you were such a big part. Those first 30 episodes, especially. I mean, you had a lot of content in there. First 100 episodes, especially too. There's a lot of content we had in there. and you were such an integral part of the wrestling episodes as well with the Hodder Show, which is something that, even though I don't talk wrestling as much anymore, you know, that's still something that was very important in the early days of the Hodder Show. So this is basically just me saying, hey guys, here's this dude who did this stuff and here's why he's awesome, and thank you. But
well, yeah, I can remember you day one, man, when just because we've been friends for so long that I can still remember the birth of the Hodder Show, how you talked about podcasting was going to be your thing. You wanted to give it a shot. You bounced ideas off it, and then we just said, I've been with you day one, liking, subscribing, honestly, commenting. But yeah, no, it's been a wild ride, man. I'm very happy and proud of you that you got to this point.
Well, thank you, man. Then obviously, of course, Ryan was a part of the spinoff show from the Hodder Show. Technically the third spinoff show, but it was first technically, whatever. Technically, Two Guys in a Game was the first spinoff show, but Mikes and Beers was the true spinoff show from the Hodder Show because it was a segment. Ryan is the co-host on Mikes and Beers, and that's been a wonderful journey. We are on a unplanned hiatus at the moment, but doing Mikes and Beers over Zoom is tricky. Not to mention schedules and everything, but hopefully we can get back going. We're definitely going to do Mikes and Beers again. I don't know when, but you'll see Mikes and Beers back again, because
we'll get there. But it's all about you, man. This is the Hodder Show celebration. Amazing. Cheers to your success, and
thank you, dude.
5 years and 5 years more.
Mm-hmm. Well, and that's what's been wonderful, and that's why, Mikes and Beers is a part of the Hodder Show's journey, and you're a part of it, and that's why it's so important to talk about that, because having obviously Brandon, we saw Brandon a little bit earlier on in this video with you and Brandon, you guys basically helping me get through those first kind of podcasting jitters, so to speak, and figuring out what kind of podcaster I am, how I ask questions, how I interview people. You guys, especially you were a big part of that, because if I didn't have people who were well-spoken and who were good on mic and who could, because you guys had experience with doing some streaming and stuff, I don't think if I had that in the beginning, I would have gained the confidence that I did so quickly.
Well, I'm glad to hear that, man. It's crazy to think back I guess we were a part of it all, but I'm in my head, I don't want to go off on tangents. This is your moment. I was like, it's funny you say that, because the producer, Brandon Bowden, was someone who helped us. He got us started. He also killed my streaming dream. And then I joined forces with you, and then you killed Mikes and Beers. So it's everything I'm a part of. It just died.
Mikes and Beers is great. It's just on hiatus.
I don't even know if you want me on a Hodder Show. I might put you on.
This actually isn't going to air. It's just I'm just doing this to fuck with you. I'm actually going to.
Man. I'm glad that we've been able to help you through it all. You definitely grown as a podcaster. We know that you put the time in listening to other people, promoting them, learning, and it's an incredible ride that we've got to see you through, and we're happy that we've got to be a part of it now.
Yeah, man, definitely. I needed to make sure that the heel RW made an appearance on this, but of course, I
don't know who that is.
We don't know who that guy is. CraftWoody, of course, is the new.
You got to the point where you told me to change my Twitter feed, get rid of the heel, and we had to rebrand. You literally went a wrestling rebrand on me because you didn't like it. I listened. You're the boss, and I rebranded.
And that's why he's a great co-host, folks, because he just listens to me and my bullshit. So
it's just what you got to do. So I've been rebranded, been with you since day one-ish. And it's it's been a great ride, man. I can't wait to keep going with you.
Definitely so, man. It's been fun, and thank you for all of the creative talks and all that fun stuff. I appreciate you. I love you, and I will hope to see you soon, and that we'll be able to do a Mikes and Beers in person soon. The return of Mikes and Beers in person.
Sounds good, man. We'll love you too. And again, best of luck in the next 5 years and all the rest of the podcast. I'm sure you got a lot more people to interview, and I'll let you get to it, and I'll take off, man.
Perfect. All right, brother. It's good to see you real quick, guys. One last cheers.
Cheers, fella.
Clank. All right, thanks, brother. I'll talk to you later.
See you, buddy.
We got Outshined here. What's up, boys?
How's it going, dude?
I'm doing fantastic, man. We got Dylan, Brandon, and Braden. Get Dylan, of course. He's here, and Braden's here, and Brandon's over there.
For us, Dylan's here.
Oh yeah. Right. I can't remember how this is going to look in the thing, because doing the 3-person one always looks a little strange, but whatever. Fuck it, we'll figure it out.
Right.
But boys, it's been a minute. It's good to see you guys. What's new and exciting in the world of Outshined?
I wish we could tell you something, but I don't know. Working on demos, I guess.
Cool.
Yeah, social distancing is what's new and exciting with us.
Yes.
Yeah. I set myself a mental goal of writing one song a week for 2021. And this is how it's gone so far. Keep in mind what week we're in of 2021, right? We're about to go into the, 5th week of 2021?
Mm-hmm.
This is what my board looks like.
Oh, shit. All right. Well, that's not good. So it looks like week 1 you had something? Was that?
Week one's done. It sounds great. Like I'm happy with it.
By week 3, week 1 was sounding great.
Yeah, exactly.
But week 2,
yeah. Week two, which is now week 5. The idea came out of me last week, but I just got it since.
Whatever. Just mark them off. You know when it happened. So screw it.
I'm convinced. I've told myself there's going to be one week where I just bang out like 10 songs in a week, and I'm like, oh, well, now I'm all caught up.
Whatever. You'll figure it out. You'll know. No, this riff was week 2. This riff was week 3. It's totally fine.
That's awesome.
Oh man! And for the record, folks, Brandon and Braden live together. Just for the record, that's why they're they're sitting in the same house and everything. So
we're in our.
Oh my God! You guys aren't social distancing. They live in the same house, so just
we're in our own little COVID bubble circle, whatever they call that now.
Little COVID bubble.
Yeah.
Right on. Well, it's good to see you guys. And I mean, obviously, with doing the Hodder Show 50th anniversary special, I had to have the Hodder Show house band on the podcast. I mean, come on.
Throwback.
Yes.
Yeah. Thanks. Thank you.
Of course.
Yeah,
and of course, with Outshined, the very first theme song of the Hodder Show was Why. I don't know why I picked it. No, I'm just kidding.
Our baby.
See what I did there? No, but the thing is that was so interesting was when I started the podcast, like I was like, I need like a good rock tune to be the intro to come in. And I always loved, Why still my favorite Outshined song. I don't know why it is, but it just is. And like, I'm sorry, I'm done. I'm sorry, I'm done. I'm not going to do it again. No more Why jokes. I'm sorry. But, and from there, like, obviously you guys were the first like full band interview I did too. You were also one of the only on location interviews I ever did as well.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Do you guys remember that interview at all?
Yeah.
And Jones.
Yeah.
That was a good time.
HQ.
Yes. It's funny because I can remember that because like, obviously I knew it was going to be a great podcast because I was like, the 4 of us, sorry. The 3 of you and me, we always have fun. We always just have a good time and bullshit. But I still remember when I was heading over there, I was talking to my buddy, the producer, Mr. Brandon Bowden, and he was like, how is this going to work? I was like, what do you mean? He's like, well, like, are you bringing stuff with you? I'm like, well, yeah. And he's like, is it going to work? I'm like, I think so. I still remember I sat down and started doing stuff, and I'm like, uh-oh, something's not working.
Yeah.
Super, super fun, man. But, and then, of course, with Outshined too, and aside from the fact that all of you guys have been on the show, Brandon, you were my first interview that was like not technically I had Brandon and Ryan on, my buddies, but like they don't really count because they're like, they were kind of behind the scenes too a little bit, but you were the first like interview I had that was like, I didn't have to record it in 10-minute segments because you brought your laptop over.
That's right.
That? Yeah. And I was like, I still remember like, oh, so this is how it feels just to do a full interview.
Yeah.
I was like, that was a big turning point for me too.
You know what? That's saved somehow. I don't know how it ended up. It's on my phone in like my music playlist.
Really?
I don't know why, but I'll be listening to some sick jams in my car. And then all of a sudden it'll just be like really close to the mic. Yeah. So this is Hodder Show Take 1 with Brandon and TJ. And I'm just like, what is this playing?
There's some sick jams, and all of a sudden it's just this garbage. What is this?
Yeah.
That's actually hilarious, man. Oh my gosh.
The weirdest thing.
That's so good, man. And then you guys actually also were one of my first reviews as well that I did with the Outshined EP.
The one and only.
The one and only. We're still waiting on that next one, boys. What's going on?
You know what? We've had. Hey, what'd you say, no?
I said, so are we.
Yeah. Dude, we've been sitting on a song for like, what did we figure out yesterday? A year or two?
Yeah, about that.
We've been sitting on a song, and I think all of us agree it's probably the best thing we've ever written. It's the best sounding thing we've ever recorded. And we're just sitting on it because we're sitting on it. There's no real rhyme or reason.
Yeah.
Why is it not my headphones? What's going on? What the hell?
Yeah, I don't know. I think we have like big plans, but it's plans we're not executing, you know?
Well, goddamn, boys.
Yeah.
Execute them.
Yeah, seriously.
Execute Order 66. No, but whenever that does happen, obviously we will have Outshined on to discuss said things. But something that's cool too is actually obviously like Dylan and Braden, you guys were on as well for separate interviews. And with you, Braden, that was one that, like, obviously Brandon worked at the store, so I knew Brandon quite well. But like with you and Dylan, like I didn't really know you guys as well. But I was like, okay, I know these are going to be good conversations. But I'm like, it was an interesting dynamic because, like, I mean, Braden, you literally came over to my house. Like that was that was interesting. Do you remember our interview at all, or?
Yeah, I came over to pick up my shirt.
Oh, wow! Wearing the Hodder Show t-shirt, the big reveal. One of the OG Hodder Show t-shirts. Wow.
And you know what? We can truthfully say he didn't just put that on right before this. He was wearing it already today.
Was he actually?
I wear it to work all the time.
He was.
Oh, wow.
Dude, this guy comes out with like a different band shirt or podcast shirt every day. He's got just a collection of band shirts. It's great.
You have other podcast shirts other than mine?
I don't think so.
Okay.
I don't think so.
That's very lost.
I have a podcast shirt.
What's
That's
that
all
one?
you need.
What's that one? What's the sweater you have? Teddy Grahams or something? Oh, what is it? Teddy Fresh. Okay.
Teddy Fresh. The hell's Teddy Fresh? I don't know. Whatever.
Teddy Grahams.
We'll talk about it another time. But that was funny because I still remember when you came over because just a really quick funny story about it. We had this is when I was downstairs still at my parents' place, and like if I'm remembering correctly, I was like, hey, come around the back. But like my message didn't send, so I think you came to the front door if I'm not mistaken. And then like my mom let you in.
Oh, I went to a different house because you sent me two different.
That's what it was, yes.
So I thought the most recent one's probably the correct one.
That's what it was. Yeah. And it was just like I went to a different house, and I was like, "Oh shit, that could have been different." Comes in the back door. Hey guys, where's TJ? I'm here for a podcast. Who are you? Get out of my house!
Didn't sit down.
Can you imagine just walk in?
I'm ready.
TJ, where are you? Not this again. He's next door. No.
There's a bunch of like weird stuff hanging on the wall, chains and shackles and stuff.
TJ's into some weird stuff, man. What the?
Yeah. It's got dark real fast.
Why did this get so dark? What the hell? That was a lot of fun, man. And Dylan, what was fun with yours too was like when we did that interview, like I came to your, so actually the second ever on location interview for the Hodder Show was you at your place again.
Right. Yeah.
That was do you remember that chat? That was a good time.
Yeah, that was awesome. We even got into like video game soundtracks and stuff, which is like something I was passionate about. Never thought about talking about it with someone else. You know what I mean? It's like a very interesting conversation. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, definitely so. That was definitely a fun one. And I still haven't had your old man on. That's
no.
That's something.
That would be a sick podcast.
I think that needs to happen still one day.
Yeah, he'd love to. He would love to.
Just
One of
saying,
those things that just never happened. Sorry?
Brandon and I were just saying the other day, we'd love to sit and just listen to old JV stories.
Yeah, because we were talking about, we were just reminiscing about random like sound checks and weird shows that we've had, fights with other bands and that kind of stuff. And I'm like, JV's got to have some absolute gold.
Oh yeah.
Oh man, get him a couple beers deep, he'll talk your ear off.
Can you imagine Brad and JV on the Hodder Show after a couple Bud Lights?
Oh man,
Weapons.
That'd be
a conversation for sure.
That would be really fun. And it's one of those things too where like there's no reason it hasn't happened. It's just life.
Yeah.
You know, but yeah, no, that would be fun. I should do that for sure. But
Definitely.
you know, the main reason again, like I said, why I want Heavy Guys on was more just an appearance from Outshined. This is a really big milestone for me, and you guys have always been a very important part of this podcast and of just to get some for a second of my life too. And I always appreciate your guys' support, and y'all one of my favorite bands, and I'm not just saying that. So I always appreciate the support, and I'll be very much looking forward to us being able to sit in the room again and have a chat over some new Outshined music, hopefully.
Definitely. Yeah, sure. Man. Obviously, of course, congratulations on all the success. It's cool. Definitely been cool for us to watch the podcast you started grow into something, and something big that it is now, right? It's awesome.
And turn into the whole Mean Beard thing.
Yeah.
Man, that whole thing is a trip too. You know, being able to announce on the podcast with Joe for this, which you guys, I'm going to make sure, I have to make sure it goes before this now, but excuse me, being able to announce that basically because of this show, I officially have a job with Bean Beard and everything, like that's crazy.
Awesome.
Yeah, man.
It's a good time. But anyway, boys, thank you so much for coming on. It's been great getting to chat with you, and we will definitely, keep in touch, keep up with let me know what's going on, and we'll talk to the guys in their chat again soon.
Of course, man. Thank you
for having us, CJ.
All right, thanks, boys. Jacob Grondy, Curtain Jerkin Podcast. What's up, buddy?
How's it going, TJ?
Oh, it's going great, man. It is really good to see you and talk to you, man. I was just saying to you before we started, this is the first time you and I have actually chatted on video, like, ever. We've spoken before on podcasting, but never with video. So it's good to see you, man. And the beard is looking fantastic, by the way.
Oh, I appreciate it, man. Yeah, it's kind of cool to know someone for years, but never met them kind of in person. Zoom calls might be in person nowadays. So it's pretty cool.
Yeah, man. Well, and that's what's funny. Like, you were the reason I wanted to have you on, with this 5-year anniversary special I'm doing here today is you were the first person that I think I reached out to you, if I'm not mistaken. I don't really remember how we linked up. I don't have my Twitter anymore. I couldn't look back, but you were the first person I really started building a real kind of rapport with, especially in that kind of wrestling podcast community where, to be honest, I didn't have the best luck kind of reaching out to people. Like, they'd either be like kind of cool or they'd be kind of meh. Then I was like, oh, like, you were super cool right away. And what was interesting is you've had this cool journey where when I first got to know you, you were doing one podcast and then you did another one. And then I think you did another one. And then now you're doing what you're doing now. So you're someone who very much, like myself, you don't like to sit still for too long. You like to kind of keep going no matter what. And that's something that I really respect about you. But also what's cool is you were the first guest I had on my podcast for an interview that I didn't actually know in person. Like, I knew you from speaking with you on Twitter and stuff, but when we first started talking, it was like, I don't know who this guy is. Like, we've never spoken before. And that's what's so cool about our interview episode 92 and 93 of the Hodder Show from 4 years ago is basically, in a way, you're a complete stranger to me, really, like, realistically speaking. And another kind of thing that's interesting is you were my first interview not on my podcast. Like, you had me on your podcast, the old one too. And again, that was a big milestone for me. So going back, do you remember kind of our first couple of little interactions? Do you remember that at all? Or
yeah, I remember just trying to get my name out there on Twitter, and then like you said, like, the wrestling podcast community can be a little like you said, some people are kind of maybe like standoffish too. Yeah. Like I don't really know that mentality. Like, they kind of want to create their own little bubble, where I think kind of like even we're seeing in wrestling nowadays where you're having like Impact and AEW and AAA all working together.
Yeah, they're all coexisting.
Yeah, I had that kind of idea. I knew you kind of did a different kind of podcast. So I thought that was, why not do that? Like, why not cross promote and also just meet people, talk to people, have a good time. Like, people forget, like, entertaining. Like, you got to have a good time.
That's it, right? And what was so interesting was when, with your podcast, like, especially, like, we'll talk about, like, the old one too, specifically, like, when I was on your podcast, what was so interesting about it was I used to do a lot more wrestling talk, like, back in the day when I was doing 2 episodes a week. Whereas now, like, I don't really do very much anymore. It's kind of hit or miss, but I still love wrestling, obviously. But when I was on your podcast, that was actually near my 100th episode, which, again, kind of a funny look back, but you having me on was so fun because, like, I wasn't really someone who probably should have been on a wrestling podcast because, like, yes, I'm a huge fan and I love talking wrestling, but I'm not a wrestling podcaster. So it was kind of a fun dynamic.
For sure. It's a good time, man. I mean, you don't have to know everything to to maybe bring some insight, you know, just, I think it worked well. Like, you know, kind of like this is right now, you know?
Yeah. Just getting to hang out and chat. That's at the end of the day, that's what everyone's doing. You know what I mean? And something interesting that I don't remember if we talked about this when I had you on my podcast, if we talked about it on air or not, but it was something that there's two things I learned from that interview. One thing I learned specifically from you that I've used to this day, that I have to thank you for, this little tidbit that you gave me, where I said to you, isn't it super nerve-wracking to talk to people that like you have so much respect for, and you basically, some people, like, I think it was when you had Del Wilkes on your podcast where you were like, holy shit, it's Del Wilkes. Like, whoa, this is, you know what I mean? Like, this is a big deal for me, like, because you were such a fan. And I was like, isn't that like just the most nerve-wracking, stressful thing? And you were like, honestly, you're just having a conversation with someone. And it was such a small little thing you said. And it was probably like just random throwaway thing you said. But like, for some reason, it really stuck with me, where I was like, because you were saying how, like, you know, you guys would chat about like the weather for a minute and like chat about like, oh yeah, you know, he would be like, oh yeah, you know, my grandkids are coming over or whatever. And like, you would just ask a question or two about that before you kind of got into the meat and potatoes of the interview. And that's something that I learned from you that I really like. I was like, okay, I can relate to that. I can bring that into my world. Cause at the end of the day, it's not just like a wrestling thing. It's just, you're just having a conversation. If, like, you know, when I had someone on this past year that I was such a big fan of his and I've been following his career for years, I was so nervous to talk to him, but I kept remembering, hey man, you're just having a conversation. He's just a normal dude. You're having a conversation.
That's cool. That's awesome. That's probably the most flattering thing I've heard. You know, because I listen to your show. Your show is, I mean, blowing up, man. People are enjoying it. So the fact that I kind of unknowingly gave you some advice there, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, I don't know if I actually ever told you that, but I told you that here now. So it's a fun kind of full circle thing. I wanted to make sure I shared that. But something else that was kind of fun that I learned during your interview was, I used to be very, especially when I would interview people, like, you know, I would ask a question and then let them give me an answer. Then I would ask another question. It was very regimented. And when I went back and listened to those episodes that we did, right around that time, I started being a lot more like, I think it was because you were a podcast and you could carry on a conversation if need be. It was like, we had more of a back and forth bantery type of a conversation. And I was like, okay, that's more what I want to do. And if I can do that with someone I don't really know that much, I can do that with anybody. So that was something that I learned from your episode. That was kind of just a really big milestone moment for me, for sure.
That's awesome. Yeah. Hell yeah. The epiphany moment. That's a big deal.
For sure, man.
I think like a lot of times people listen to podcasts and things and then they think they kind of take it lightly. You know, they think that anyone can really do it, but it really takes a long time to figure out like what you want and then also how you want to do it, how you can do it.
Mm-hmm. I mean, even though I learned that lesson on episode 92 and 93, it wasn't really until like the late hundreds that I really started. Whereas now I'm like, okay, like when I have people on the show now, we're just hanging out. Like I tell them, hey, can I come on your show for an interview? If you want, but I don't do interviews. I say to people, it's like we're hanging out, having a coffee, having a beer. That's basically how, and I ask you stuff I personally want to know about you. And that's kind of what the show has become at this point. And that's what's so fun, just to go back and look back and, you know, it's just, you're just having a conversation.
Yeah. Pretty cool.
That's it, man. But, something I wanted to make sure we touched on here. What is, obviously I mentioned Curtin Jerkin, your new podcast, well, new-ish podcast. It had kind of, because you kind of went under my radar for a little bit there. And I was like, oh, I wonder what Jacob's up to. And then come to find out, oh shit, he's got another show he's killing it on. Like, this is awesome. Because I kind of, this will happen, like I'll kind of lose touch with someone and then I'll read this and I'll be like, oh my God, like they're killing it. So what's Curtin Jerkin real quick? What are you doing with that show here?
Oh, well, for people that aren't super into pro wrestling, the curtain jerker is always the first match. And I always wanted to kind of go in depth about, you know, the side of wrestling that not a lot of people are talking about. Everyone talks about the main events, but I like to kind of look into the indies, look into the first matches, look into these outlaw mud shows, as Jim Cornette calls it. That's my kind of favorite style of wrestling.
Outlaw mud shows.
So like I thought that needed to have some light on there. So that's kind of where the name came from. But now we talk about anything. I'll talk like I'm going to do like the Conor McGregor fight, but I'm also talking about a No Peace Underground, which is this promotion in Florida that doesn't even have rings. They just kind of have like a barricade set up, and it gets pretty nuts down there. So I like to kind of bring in like less popular stuff into popular stuff and kind of compare them all together. And if anyone wants to get a baseball tee, I actually have my, you know, curtain jerking baseball tees out. You can hit me up on Twitter at JG Pro Wrestling, and I can send them your way.
Awesome. And if you're even remotely a fan of wrestling, check it out. I mean, you know, we're going to, and for the record, folks, we're going to have Jacob on again very, very soon for a full episode, because I haven't talked to you on the show literally since episode 92. So I'm like, it's very long overdue to have you back on to kind of dive more into what you've been doing, what curtain jerking is, and all that fun stuff. I wanted to make sure we touched on it. And you know, I appreciate, you know, the fact that you've always been, even though we kind of might go some time without talking, anytime we get back together and chat, it's always great chatting with you and just kind of getting your take on stuff. And I've always enjoyed our rapport, man. So thank you for being cool from day one, and the lessons and the support throughout the years. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, anytime, man. Anytime. It's fun to have, you know, friends from countries away. So it's pretty awesome.
Definitely so, man. All right. Well, we'll get Jacob on the show again sometime soon for a full chat. But thanks again for coming on the 5th year anniversary, man. It's a great getting to have a quick chat with you.
All right. Have a good one, man.
John Ward of Nothing Serious. What's up, buddy?
Oh, nothing too much. What's up with you?
Oh, you know, just hanging out. Excited to talk to you and see you. With this whole 5th year anniversary of the Hodder Show, blah, 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 so on and so forth. When I started writing out my list, you were someone that obviously was on my list of people who were not only influential actually in a funny way that I just realized in actually me starting the podcast, but also in the early days, obviously you were a big supporter. And then on top of that, the episodes you've been a part of, specifically the episodes I want to really make sure we talk about, was the episodes where you actually came to me with the idea of you interviewing me on the Hodder Show, which was so much fun. But I want to just go back for a minute, because one of the reasons I started this podcast was an excuse to stay in touch with bands I had met at gigs. That was literally the main reason. And when I pictured bands that I could interview, you were one of them. And what's cool is, as you know, this whole thing has progressed, again, you know, you've been someone who's been a big part of it and everything. Do you remember going back the first time you were on the show? That was with wait, hang on a sec. When was that? You've been on 7 times?
Yeah, there's 6 times.
Yeah.
I think I interviewed you, I think three times.
Mm-hmm.
I think Beyond the Wall was on it twice.
Yes, yeah. No, just once. Just part one.
And then the Family Guy Conspiracy. And
yes.
Then I think one after that.
So yeah, that's right. So yeah, we did the Beyond the Wall one, and then I just had you on when Nothing Serious was getting ready to drop Missing Hell. And then the Family Guy Conspiracy Theories one. The ones where you interviewed me, which you came to me with that idea. And then from there, there's been a couple other times as well. But where did the idea come from for you to come to me and be like, hey, I want to like interview you on the Hodder Show? Because it was just, I never would have really thought of that idea, because I was like, I think that's kind of, it has to be the right person. And I was like, the fact that you came to me with it, I was like, yo, that is awesome.
I think where it came from was just I know that I was toying with the idea of starting a podcast, and I wanted to see what it was like.
That's right. Yeah.
But at the same time, I knew that we were good at shooting the shit, and I thought it would be fun. So.
And they definitely were. And what's interesting about that is something that I learned from doing those. And I went back and listened to them preparing for this, as well as some of our other chats. The only one I didn't listen to, because I just ran out of time, was the Family Guy Conspiracy Theories one. And I wish I just ran. I'm going to still listen to it because I know it's going to be fun. But you and I bonded so quickly over a few things, obviously one of them being Family Guy. So that's why it's so fun to get into that with you. But something I learned from doing those episodes with you where you were interviewing me was like, okay, if I'm speaking with someone, and what I liked about the way that you asked questions was it wasn't like I used to really stick with and this has kind of been a theme on this video, but I used to really stick with a set plan, or I'm like, okay, I'm going to ask this question and this question, and then I have to ask this question. And I wasn't great at deviating off of that. And you said to me, hey, I've got these few questions, we'll just kind of BS. And I was like, okay, cool. And I was a little worried, like, oh man, are we going to run out of content? we did a 2-parter, so it was like a 3-hour recording. But something that you were doing is like, you would ask a question, and then like have follow-up questions within that one question. And you weren't afraid to deviate off of your initial plan. And especially when actually asking interview questions. And I was like, it might seem silly, but it's like, oh, you can do that and it actually works. Because I had tried doing it before and I couldn't quite figure it out. But with doing those, I guess it's because I was answering them. I was kind of like, if I put myself in that person's mindset, it can be done and it can be successful, And that's what was, so fun about those episodes. But what's fun too is the fact that obviously now, as Nothing Serious has kept rocking and rolling, we've actually haven't done any showcases on Nothing Serious at this point, but I did do my first and only live reaction to a song to Nothing Serious.
Yes, which I thought was really, really cool.
And that's what's that was fun, because obviously I knew the song because I had heard you guys play it like 2 or 3 times before, but then hearing the recorded version was like, oof.
Yeah.
It was super, super fun. But something else I wanted to make sure we talked about, in the early days of Nothing Serious, when one thing that I'll never forget as far as with the podcast, and I know that we've talked about this before, but something I'll never forget was when you were at my house doing that first initial interview. And I think, if I remember correctly, Nothing Serious hadn't actually quite launched yet. I think you were just getting ready to jump into the kind of you were like, we're going to just dive in head first. Here's the band, blah, 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 blah. And you had said to me like, hey, I've got a couple songs I'd love to play for you. And in that moment, when you played me those songs and like actually in person played me the songs, which was so cool, that was like a really special moment for me, because I was like, okay, this is what I want to do. And when you had launched them, you had kind of said to me like, hey, like that was kind of a little bit of a confidence booster for me, just to be like, oh, hey, like someone likes these songs that isn't in my immediate life. So like, hey, cool, maybe we have something. And then now, you guys are taking over the world. So
one stream at a time.
Damn right. But on that note, what's obviously right now no shows or anything can happen or whatever, but just real quick, what's Nothing Serious been up to this year? Like obviously we have spoken this year, but we haven't spoken since when did we do our last interview? I know that you guys had dropped Oh my goodness, Jekyll and Hyde, obviously. But since then, what else have you guys been up to this year?
During the first lockdown, me and Ed did a lot of like live streaming, and then filmed a couple music videos, released a couple songs in late summer, early fall, and went into the studio to record 2 other songs that we're hopefully gonna release soon.
Yay!
But yeah, we have 3 unreleased songs right now. And we're probably gonna put it out as an EP. Like, just instead of doing the singles, we're just gonna throw out 3 songs together.
Yay! Showcase on the Hodder Show. Yeah. All right. Cool. Okay. Here's what we're gonna do. I'm gonna say this right now, so we have to do it. I want to get all 3 of you guys on the pod for the showcase, instead of just having my dumbass be like, I like this song because it has good guitar. I can like have you guys on to like maybe break the songs down a little bit more.
Okay.
If you guys are down.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. All right. Okay, you heard it here first, folks. It's happening. I've said it. It's happening. Is there any kind of immediate plans on when that's going to be, or you're just going to wait and see what happens?
We're going to wait for, sorry. We're going to wait for the COVID numbers to start going down again.
Cool. Good call.
Just so we have another way of promoting it besides of just online. We want to be able to at least play shows again.
Yeah,
but,
in some capacity.
Yeah, because it's like we've released 4 songs without playing a show.
Yeah, it's always tricky.
Yeah,
it's like, what do you, when you can't do like, because normally it's like, hey, a single release show or whatever, or, hey, an album release show. Like, when you can't do that, it's got to be super strange.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it kind of is.
Well, that's cool to hear, man. And I mean, I'll definitely look forward to that. I'm hoping that the numbers start going down at least within the next month or so we can maybe get back to some shows and stuff later this year or late this summer or whatever, but who knows, we'll see what happens. But anything else new exciting in the world of John Ward you'd like to report on?
Not really. Everything's pretty boring right now.
Well, and that's why I wanted to reach out to you for this too, because I was like, I just want an excuse to see John and say hi to John, and but I just wanted to say thanks, for all of your support over the last 5, because you're someone who literally from day one has been a supporter. So just thank you for all your support and being a part of it, and being a part of the interview episodes, and sharing your thoughts on Family Guy conspiracy theories and all things of that nature, man. It's been really wonderful to have you be a part of it.
And it's definitely been an honor to be on the Hodder Show, because I also want to thank you for the amount of times that you've had me on, or even just any musician in general, because I like what you do, and it's nice to see people that are supporting music without being a part of music. So
that's literally the main thing of what we do here. I make no money off this, and this is something that I don't think a lot of people understand sometimes, where like, I don't do this because I'm trying to get famous. I don't do it to make money. I literally just, the main part of the Hodder Show is let's put a spotlight on bands and musicians. That's it. That is literally what the Hodder Show is. So I appreciate you saying that. Perfect. All right, man. Well, thank you so much for coming on and hanging out with me for a little bit, and I'll talk to you later. Okay, buddy? Take care.
Have a good one.
My man, Chris Osuch. What's up, buddy?
What's going on, man? Always good to be back on.
Yeah, man. It's good to see you. It's good to talk to you during the day too, because usually when we have our episode, it's usually like late at night. So
yeah, it's usually like midnight or something. I'm like half asleep already.
I'm just getting home from work and I'm like all wired for sound. You're just like, what?
I'm fucking old now, so like 12:30, I'm already like,
Oh, dude, I hear you. Well, what's new and exciting, man? What have you been up to? I mean, it hasn't been that long since we talked to you, because the whole reason I wanted to have you on for this 5th year anniversary special I'm doing here is just because you've been lately the most reoccurring guest I've had, really, because
we started obviously on episode 188 when I had you and Ryan on for Lockerbox.
Yeah, that was a good
And
one.
then-
That was fun.
Yeah, that was so much fun because that was again a situation where like
I didn't know each other.
Yeah,
going
no,
in. Yeah.
not at all.
Yeah.
Like I had heard of you like just through the grapevine,
Mhm.
but like, and I knew okay, like this Chris guy, like I had heard your stuff, and I'm like, holy shit, this guy's really good. Like he's a great vocalist, and from there, like we meet and just kind of for whatever reason hit it off. And
Yeah, for sure.
it's just like we have a similar sense of humor. Like we both like music and
Yeah,
similar
definitely.
types of. Obviously, you're more into the heavier stuff than I am, obviously, but like, and then just from there, you were on with Steven for Kingdra. And then we had the conspiracy theory episode, which was
that was fun. I
Yeah.
like that one a lot, actually. If I always said too when we were done that one, like if you want to do another one of those sometime, I'm always game. I'm always down to go down the fucking rabbit hole of conspiracy theories.
Yeah, I want to do another one sometime, but I want to get into like the ones that don't get spoken about a lot.
Yeah.
Like, because we kind of, I mean, for the most part, the ones I spoke about were kind of just.
Yeah, we touched on like the big three kind of thing,
Yeah.
like 9/11, Illuminati, fucking world banking.
Yeah, and then like I spoke about like 5G and like
Yeah.
the COVID and all that bullshit. So it was kind of like
touched on fucking lizard people and shit.
Yeah, it was kind of the more common ones, but yeah, it'd be fun to go back and do one that was a little more of a deep dive into some of the more really out there ones. I think that'd be fun to talk about. But then obviously most recently, of course, I had you on for a showcase of your EP for Dragged, which is your solo project now that you're kind of ripping and tearing on. So what have you been doing just the last little while? Have you just been kind of hanging out and working on Dragged, or?
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, I've kind of had a bit of a stall in things because like I work, I won't say my company name or anything, but I work in retirement, and we had a situation where another home, they had basically had like one case of COVID in the building, and their whole fucking kitchen staff walked out. So, yeah, so I got a call from my like corporate chef, like my boss's boss's boss. And he was like, yo, you want to come up here for a couple weeks, help me out, help it get back in order because the kitchen's a disaster, and then, hire new staff and that. I was like, sure, no problem. And, it was one of those things I was told like, oh, 2 weeks tops. And then, I was living in a fucking hotel for a month. So
yeah, that's right. That's right. I didn't realize it was that long, but yeah, I guess a month kind of makes sense.
yeah, it was like the day I came home was like 3 days short of a month. Like I went up there December 17th, and then I came back on like January, I think like 13th or something.
Nice. Well, it's good you're back home, and it's good you were able to help out, good guy Chris going and, taking up
Plus,
the mantle when needed.
Plus, they gave me a fucking 2 week paid vacation after, so that's what I'm doing now, just kind of fucking sitting around the house,
just hanging out and riffing out. Got a new guitar, got a new tattoo.
Yeah,
all the stuff.
Yeah, the good old Fred Durst portrait.
That's. I love how so many people are like, "That's not real," and I'm like, "Don't you know him at
I was
all?"
gonna
Like,
say, do you
I was
know me?
not surprised at all when I saw that.
Yeah.
I'm surprised it didn't happen sooner. It's a badass tattoo, though.
Thanks. Yeah, it's been it was one that I kind of brought up to my fiance like jokingly a bunch of times, and she's just like, and she fucking hates Limp Bizkit. So like I said it to her, and she's like, oh god, like no, we're not doing that. No. And then I kind of just kept pressuring her into it, and then she finally gave in.
That's wicked. Got to keep rolling, bro.
That's it. And
That's fantastic.
But yeah, so other than that, like I've been home, like I said, for about a week now. So I've kind of tried to get things going again. I've started doing a little more tracking for Dragged. I'm actually working on the last song for the next EP right now.
Nice.
As far as just like tracking guitars and stuff, and then I got to send it off to Keegan for drums.
My man.
Yeah, and then yeah, it's just a quick first mix, and then I'm going to start laying down vocals. So I'm hoping, I mean, I'm in no way setting an actual release date, but I'm hoping it should be out maybe by the end of February.
Awesome. Well, we'll keep an eye out for that, and we'll definitely chat more about once it's once it's ready to go, we'll
For
get
sure.
together and do something. But like I was saying earlier, like, you know, the whole reason I wanted to have you on for this was, aside from the fact that yes, reoccurring, you know, awesome, but also on top of that, you and I, we've been speaking before we started about this idea I've had that I'm not going to talk about yet because it's kind of it's a work in progress. But creatively speaking, the reason why you're important to me in this whole grand scheme of the Hodder Show is I tend to run a lot of stuff by you now just because of the kind of creative person you are. Like, we're very similar in the sense of,
For sure.
we both don't like to sit on our hands for too long.
No,
like
definitely not.
I think I remember you saying to me long before Dragged was even a thing, where you would just like, I'm kind of sick of waiting for a band to like get going. Like, I want to do something. I was just like, dude, you should do it. And we've kind of had that rapport where it's just like, we always kind of throw things back and forth. Like, I've had the pleasure of you sending me demo tracks and be like, hey, what do you think of this? And I'm always like, holy fuck, this is awesome. And like, it's, you know,
For sure.
So we've always kind of had that rapport, which is cool. But just to go back for a minute, do you remember, like, obviously when we did that first episode, we didn't know each other at all. Do you remember like kind of your first reaction when we were like kind of starting to chat? Or
yeah, like I remember we had we had just exchanged like a few messages on like Facebook back and forth, and I had checked out a few episodes of your show. I don't even remember how I came across it, actually. I think it was like somebody else in one of the bands around here had posted like their episode of being on. So I was like, oh, cool. I didn't know there was like a local dude who did like music podcasts. That's fucking awesome. So I checked it out and I was like, this is great. And plus obviously good publicity for any bands and artists in the scene. So yeah, I just shot you a message right away, and then we hit it off pretty fucking good. You make it easy because you're an easy guy to talk to, and I like to think I'm usually the same. Yeah. And so it's easy to build. Like my fiance always says, like she's like, you can fucking start talking to anybody and have a full conversation, and that's just kind of always how I've been. So to meet another person like that, it makes it very easy to build that rapport.
Definitely so, and that's what's so cool about it. Like, where you're an example of someone who, if it wasn't for the podcast, like a few people I've had on for this, like I wouldn't have any kind of rapport with you,
right,
without the podcast. And now it's like, I like, it's not like obviously we don't see each other a lot because, we can't at the moment, but even so, like we live at opposite ends of the area, but like we pretty much converse almost at least once a week about something. Yeah, like it's pretty, so it's kind of funny how those things work out. But, with the kind of creative back and forth we have, that's more for me what's so interesting is just, I'll, like anytime I've had you on, like even, when I had you on with Steven talking about Kingdra, like we just, even with that episode, like obviously like, Steven's he's a good guy and like he's always easy to talk to, but like that was more like I'm talking to you again and I'm like, okay, like I could probably have you on every day to talk about something random and it would be a good time. But it's like, yeah, that's what's so interesting is we just hit it off. And then like now, I was lucky enough to be able to be one of the first people that heard the EP for Dragged. Right. And, we did do that showcase, and it's just interesting. Like being a reoccurring person who always comes on, because you can never really pick it. Like right away, like when you and I first like hung out when we did that first episode, I was like, okay, I'll probably have him on again. But then as times progress, like I say to you all the time, and I know you're going to be like, oh, but like you're literally my favorite metal vocalist in the scene. So like, so like
I'm okay, I guess. But
so it's like it's just so interesting to think about the fact that I kind of knew, because I can't remember the what was the band you were in before?
North Shore.
That was it. North Shore. Like obviously I knew North Shore, but what really got me into your vocals was Lockerbox. Just for whatever reason, I was like, this is kind of more I kind of connected with that more. And then obviously with Kingdra and then with Dragged, which is more my, like, I love that EP, and I'm so hyped for you to drop the next one. But it's just funny, man. Like, and just, you know, I knew this wasn't going to be like a 30-minute long conversation or anything, but like, I wanted to kind of put a spotlight on the fact that, you know, we've built up this rapport because of the show, and you've been a recurring guest, and, you know, you're kind of like the resident, like if I was going to have a co-host to talk about like metal music and stuff like that, you'd probably be my co-host at this point for that. Because just like,
that'd be dope, man. I'd always be down for that for sure.
Yeah. You're kind of like the resident metal expert, I guess, in a way.
I listen to a lot of shit, and I've been listening to metal for fucking as long as I can remember. I mean, you know, like we've talked about, obviously, like, you know, you've asked me obviously how I've gotten into metal and stuff, but yeah, like I've probably been listening to metal starting with like Korn and shit since I was like, you know, 9 years old, and I'm almost 30 now. So, and I've, you know, zigzagged between a million fucking subgenres, and that's kind of what made Dragged actually a little easier for me. Like I remember when I was starting that up and kind of had friends saying to me, they're like, you know, like I'm not hating on you or anything, but you're not like really a big musician. Like you do vocals and stuff, but like, you know, I haven't seen you fucking touch a guitar in 10 years and all this kind of stuff. And I was like, yeah, no, you're right. But I was like, I feel like I have a good ear though for what has to
you
sound,
do. Yeah.
For what has to sound right. And you know, the first EP was good, and I'm not saying I hate it, but with how I've progressed over the past, like, you know, 8 months or so, I listen to it now, and I'm just like, that's not even fucking me anymore. Like
yeah, I know what you mean. It's interesting, the correlation of like, I've been going back and listening to a lot of older episodes of the show lately to prepare for this, just because like, how far have I really come? Like, have I really improved that much? And I go back and listen to even like in the, like our episode we did for 188, and I'm just like, wow, like I am a completely different podcaster from I was then. Like at the core, I'm still the same person, but like, it's like with you watching your progression from the first few riffs that you ever sent me to now, it's like, it's still you, and you still have that, like you have a very distinct style, but like you've progressed so much. It's this kind of this interesting correlation, you know?
Yeah, I think that distinct style just comes from the fact that, like, you know, I never took lessons or anything. I'm just like fucking play what I like, and the next EP isn't even going to sound like the first one. It's very southern hardcore kind of shit. I mean, it still has a couple riffs in there that are very much like could have been on the first EP, but I like finding that mix. I mean, my first band ever, like my first serious band, was a band called Ventura, and that's kind of what we did. We used to call it like Southern Deathcore, because it was me, and it was just all my buddies. The guitar player wasn't even a hardcore guy. Like he was like a very much like Alice in Chains, Guns N' Roses kind of guy. But then we showed him a few like Holly Springs Disaster songs and Dead and Divine and shit like that. And he was like, this is really fucking cool. And it's pretty close to that style, kind of just a bit heavier.
Bridges the gap a little bit.
Yeah, exactly. So he listened to that and he was like, yeah, I'm fucking game. Let's do it. And then we had another vocalist who was doing the very like Southern, like, yeah, kind of vocals. And then I was doing like lows and highs, and we kind of melded those two genres together, and we had some like just disgusting breakdowns that you would hear on like an Impending Doom record, but then go back to doing like Southern riffs and having really catchy shit. And it was a really cool mix, and I fucking loved that band, and I was really disappointed that we didn't go further with that one. So that's kind of what this new EP's been. I'm kind of trying to bring that back a little bit to my Ventura days, because I fucking loved the sound we had, and it was so unique. Like I can't think, can you think of a fucking Southern band that has like deathcore breakdowns in it?
Yeah,
like,
no. And that's what's so cool again about, you know, the relationship we have, is like I've gotten to hear a couple little, you know, riff here and there, and it's like, oh shit, like this is gonna be a really special EP that you're going to do, and you can be rest assured that you guys are going to hear it here on the Hodder Show, because I want to talk about it with you. I want to dissect it with you, because like, again, the first EP, it was awesome, and there was some great stuff on there, but definitely I think this one's a little more,
it's a lot more polished.
Yeah. You're really dialing in on what you wanted Drag to be, I think, from the beginning, if that makes sense. I get that
100%. And plus, obviously, my production skills have gotten like 10 times fucking better. So that's obviously made the difference too.
Yeah, it's a really interesting correlation to that. I didn't really make that till now that we're talking about it. That just we've kind of had this interesting parallel. I mean, mine's taken a lot longer to kind of get to a point where I feel the same, where I'm like, you know, the content I'm producing now, I feel like is like, it's what I've always, especially like this last couple of years, is really dialing in on what I want. So it's cool. That's,
for sure, man. Like I've been, I've been a big listener, and I always try and listen to every episode I can. And yeah, I've even noticed your progression, and it's been awesome to watch it happen. I'm the type of person, like I don't hate on people in the sense of like, it's like, oh, this guy's kind of what he's doing, blah, blah, blah. Because if I notice that you're progressing and you're putting a lot of work into something, I recognize that, because I put a lot of fucking work into what I do too. And I know what that takes, and I know the struggles that come with it. And yeah, it's awesome to me to watch people progress like that.
Definitely so, man. And it's something that I'm looking forward to us continuing to, progress together and grow together. And I'm looking forward to hearing the EP. And I appreciate you coming on today just to kind of have a quick chat with me, just kind of showing a spotlight on the rapport we've built up.
For sure, dude. It's been awesome. And, can't wait to be on more, which I'm sure I will be for other stuff. And yeah, no, it's been great. And congrats on 5 years, man. That's huge. Hopefully another 5, hopefully more.
Hell yeah, man. Thanks so much, dude. I'll talk to you later.
Thanks, man.
Josh Covel of the Still Loading podcast. What's up,
me?
buddy?
Who, me?
You. This guy.
Me?
Yeah, you.
Oh, man. I wasn't expecting this. I didn't know that you knew my name. No.
You know my name?
Get in the vapors.
Who said that?
Vapors.
Oh, man. Buddy, it's good to see you,
It's good
man.
to see
How
you too,
doing?
man. I am exhausted. I am tired, but I am doing very well. I was joking with you off mic a little bit, and about this is too. I recorded a different podcast. Shout out to the GameCube was cool. They're good. They're good dudes. Also Canadian.
Oh,
by the way,
what is it? The GameCube? Send it to me after. I'll check it out.
The GameCube was cool. They're a good podcast. So they had me on to talk about Medal of Honor games, and I was joking around with them that this is the last podcast I'll record for a little while. And now that's not true. This is going to be the last podcast I record for a little while. But the reason is I'm going to be a father in 2 freaking days.
Yay,
so I'm squeezing this in right under the wire.
I appreciate it, dude, because I when I set out to start doing this little, collection of whatever you want to call it in celebration of the 5-year anniversary of the Hodder Show, obviously you are on my list of people that I was like, I need to have Josh on for this. And I was like, he's literally about to be a dad, like I think any day now. So I was like, is he going to have time to do it? And I hit you up today and you were like, I got time today. And I was like, hell yeah, let's do it.
So it works out 2 days prior.
Yes. And I appreciate it. And I'm so happy for you guys, man. Like, congrats.
Thank you.
I cannot wait to see the pictures. And of course the picture of the little person in the still loading onesie.
In the still loading onesie.
Oh, my heart and soul.
This one was actually given to me by the guy who sponsored my show in the month of December, Geek Guild. His website. Once kind of give him another little shout out right there. But also my sister-in-law on it's hard to explain which. There's like a bunch of sister-in-laws now, but one of my sisters-in-law, I don't know if she wants me to mention her by name, so I'm not going to, but she made me one and it's white. So I'm going to try to use that one first because she's the one that gave it to me first. So I feel like it's only right. But yeah, so it's 2 days away. It's getting real.
And
very real.
Dude, man, I'm so excited for you guys. Like
Thank you.
Like, and what's funny about us starting off this conversation like this is the fact that, like, yes, the reason I wanted to have you on was because out of everyone that I've gotten to know just through the podcast, you're like, literally, we would never have met or spoke because of the podcast, without the podcast, is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
We have built up a relationship with the podcast, and now we are to the point where I am genuinely excited, like I would be for any of my friends in my immediate life around me, that you're having a child and that you're 2 days away from that. So like, it's so cool, man. And I'm so excited for you guys. And you can tell the little one that, they've got a crazy Canuck uncle out there.
Oh, that's a lot better than, because remember we were saying before we were going to call you a cunkle. I think a canuncle is much a canuncle is a lot better sounding than kunkle.
Uncle. Oh,
Kunkle,
sorry, my alarm's going over.
Once again, kunkle sounds like some type of STD or some type
Yeah,
of bizarre
I wasn't a
fetish.
fan of that name.
I think canuncle or canuckle or something or something is better.
Canuncle. Let's say canuncle.
Canuncle. There we go.
Canuncle. I like that. There we go.
There we go. But no, and dude, same for you. Like when you reached out to me, we were talking once again off mic about like how did we first meet? You messaged me on your Two Guys in a Game Twitter account on November 20th, 2017 at 6:22 p.m. and I still have the feed here, the message feed. And you were the first person in the podcast sphere that reached out to me to try to develop some type of working relationship or some type of collaboration relationship. And obviously now we are friends. It's not just something where it's not this mutually beneficial thing. I mean, obviously it is. So, anytime you collab, it's mutually beneficial, but it's also like we talk outside of that. Like it's not just about creating content. It's also like, we are somewhat involved in each other's lives, just checking in and whatnot. So it's been a really cool thing for me because you're the first person that ever reached out to me. And one of my favorite aspects of podcasting is getting to know other podcasters.
Absolutely.
So you were the first one I ever got to know. You were my first.
And what's interesting about that too is like I had kind of forgotten how exactly we linked up. I knew it was through Two Guys in a Game, which for those of you who may not be familiar, I did do another podcast for about a year-ish. I did 50 episodes of a gaming podcast called Two Guys in a Game. You can check it out on Spotify. All the episodes are up there with a co-host. And my main job was I was basically the producer and at least near the end, the producer, and looking after the social media and all that stuff. So
you were also the straight man of the duo.
Yes.
Kaz was the nutball. You were the guy trying to desperately keep the train on the tracks.
I was the lawnmower. And he was he was the lawnmower. I was the weed whacker, meaning he would just go and cut all the grass. But then I would come in and like trim along all the edges and stuff and kind of, make it look nice. So that was my role with it. But and something tells me you may or may not be seeing Cazador Jones at some point in this. But anyway, that's beside the point. So, but what's funny is when I first discovered your podcast, you had made a joke early about the fact that my message, I was like, hey guys. And you were like, so I know you didn't listen to the show. And I was like, yeah, given. But I did say in the message, I'm excited
to check it out. Yeah, no, everyone, I can always tell when someone doesn't listen to the show because they say, hey guys. I'm like, you don't listen. It's just me. I'm by myself. I'm lonely as shit. And
I'm lonely as shit.
No, but it just I can always tell. I'm never offended by it. Like I understand that, especially like I've had other podcasts reach out to me and they seem really interested. I'm just like, I'm not going to develop a relationship with you until I listen to your show. Like I don't want it to be disingenuous. And I mean, I've done that sometimes, but I always listen to it afterwards at the very least. So yeah, it's been really fun getting to know you over the last couple. I mean, I can't believe it's been over 3 years, dude.
Yeah,
that's what's weird.
And when we did, what was interesting too was like obviously, so like you weren't familiar with the Hodder Show really until you did my podcast, which was in 2007, late 2007. No.
2018, in 2018 because there's no way we recorded something in the last month of 2017.
Definitely. I think it was like late 2018, I want to say, somewhere in that ballpark. I think it was like episodes 154 and 155 or something.
You have a better memory of your own show than I do of mine. When people are like, what episode is this? I'm like, I don't know the number.
I'm going to look it up now. I should have had this ready, but I'm
actually looking it up as you're talking.
Okay, so I'll let you
keep going.
So, but what's funny is like when we did that episode, we didn't really know each other. Like we were just like, hey, yeah, Josh is a good guy. And when we started talking, that was 2 hours, 2 episodes of just us getting to know each other and just bullshitting. We were talking about how much we love taking baths and like just the most random bullshit. And what was kind of really interesting about that is this is back when Brandon was still producing the show. And for the first time ever, and the only time since, I forgot to record an intro and outro for those episodes. And I was getting ready to go on vacation. So Brandon had to do the intro and outros for them. The only time that's ever happened. And I think in the intro, he said, like, basically in tongue in cheek, I don't know what you guys are going to get out of this conversation for the first half, because like it's basically just these two getting to know each other. But he's like, it's still really fun. But he's like, the second one is like the more meat and potatoes, talking about Josh's podcast journey and stuff. And I was kind of like, yeah, that's fair. Like, it was just, but he was like, I know how important this episode is for you, because he's like, I could tell because you were so excited about it. Because it's like, hey, I made a new friend who I actually get along with, and we actually have some stuff in common outside of podcasting. And that's what's so cool is like, out of everyone I've gotten to know, you know, and there's a couple other people too that because of the podcast I got to know, but not on the same level as you, where like, again, like I said earlier, look at how we started this. Like, I wouldn't necessarily start it off like that and be as excited to talk about that, especially in something like this, with just some other random person, you know?
Well, thanks, man. I do think, I don't know, I've always been kind of an open book, so it's always been easy for me to get to know somebody. Like, I don't know if this is like I've found that it's easy for me to relate to people relatively quickly, and I don't know why. I have no idea why that is, but it makes conversations a lot of fun. It always makes conversations super interesting. And I remember the first thing I said so I did look up the date for our podcast on your show. The first of the two-parter was on February 22nd, 2018. Okay. And the second part was on March 1st, 2018. And both were about an hour 3 for the first part, hour 16 for the second. And I opened our conversation by saying about this dream I had about you.
Yes, that's right.
Where we met at some random like truck stop, and I forget the rest of the dream. Like, you can go back and listen to the episode. I go into much more detail. I forget everything that I said. I just remember like I met you, and that was pretty much the dream. It was like, that was pretty much it. Wasn't anything weird or gross, you sickos.
Yeah. Everyone's like, you had a dream about TJ Tulsa. Anyway.
And how does that make you feel? That's my bad Dr. Phil trying to talk about dream psychology. Anyway,
I like it.
But yeah, no, so that's how we met, and we've just kind of developed our friendship over the years, and we've become good friends. I remember there was a couple times we would just bullshit on the phone for hours, for like an hour or two. And like, I don't do that with very many people, dude. Like, I'm not saying that as like, I don't get close to a lot of people. It's more just like, very few people talk as much as I do.
Same here. Yeah.
And so when the two of us get together, there's always like a long conversation because we just can't stop talking. And when it's great for podcasts, not great for time management.
Yeah, definitely. Well, and what's interesting too is like, excuse me, like you and I, like a lot of what we talk about obviously is not just podcast stuff, but life stuff, but also, excuse me, you're someone who now at this point, I'll like run ideas off of past. And that's almost what's so cool about our relationship now in regards to how I have grown as a podcast over the last couple of years since I've known you, because you have been in the podcast game a little longer than me. And also like, you're still going at this point. So it's like, you're someone who I can relate to in the sense of like, I can bounce stuff off of you. And because I have so much respect for you, because you've been doing it longer than me, but also like it's not like you've take months off and you come back, and that's not knocking anyone who does that, but just when someone's like, oh, I've been podcasting for 10 years, you know, I'd stopped doing it for 5 years, but you know, it's like, what? No, that's, to me, I hear that and I'm like, so I don't take it as seriously. Like when someone gives me advice and I look and they, you know, have one episode every 6 months or whatever, it's like that. I just don't take it as seriously. I still take all advice I get like to heart, but it's different with you, where if I run something by you, where I ask your advice on, which I have many times before, and when you say something, I always take that to heart more, because I'm like, number one, you're my friend, so I know that you're going to be, and you have been in the past where you're like, in a good way, brutally honest with me. You're like, hey, this was good. Hey, this, maybe you could do this to make it better. Like, You know what I mean? Like, and that's something I've always appreciated, and I think it's made me a better podcaster.
Well, when in general with constructive criticism, you should at least offer some type of solution to your criticism. So that way it's not like your content sucks, go fuck yourself. You know what I mean? Like it should never be anything like that. But like you got a kick out of that.
It's just your delivery and just your content sucks, go fuck yourself.
There's a couple podcasts I've wanted to say that too. But any idea, it's always good to take advice from anyone, but obviously weigh it, like you said, because it doesn't matter who it's coming from. A good idea is a fucking good idea. You know what I mean? So it doesn't matter if it's coming from someone who's never podcasted before or someone who's podcasted for years. Like, I have tons of shitty ideas. Doesn't matter that I've been podcasting for 6 years. I have tons and tons of bad ideas that either don't get made because they kind of weasel their way out, or like I realize like, maybe this isn't what I want to do, stuff like that. But like, I've gotten great ideas. Like Courtney has given me so many good ideas, and she's only podcasted with me twice. First time was bad because of me. Second time was fantastic because of her. So it was it's always good to kind of take stock of everything, so that way you get tons of great ideas to continue moving on with your show. In fact, after we're done recording, I have an idea for your show that I want to pitch to you. So
okay, I'm all for it, because you always have really good ideas. Like anytime you give me an idea, I'm always like, that's a really good idea. And that's what's cool. Like now we're at this point where, and you feel comfortable saying, hey, I got this idea. And I'm always like, hey, I will always listen to, like, I'll always listen to, if someone's like, hey, I got an idea, I'll always listen. But like, I guess what I'm trying to say is when it's coming from someone I have so much respect for as a podcaster, because I'm genuinely a fan of what you do.
Thanks, man.
It's like, it's almost, it's different in a way, I guess. It's just, because to me, it comes with a little more, what's the word I'm looking for? A little more clout behind it, kind of, if that makes sense. I don't think that's the right term, but like just, because I can say, okay, hey, here's someone who's doing it. They've been doing it. They're dedicated, which is the number one thing for me. Like I can't stand, and again, I'm not trying to call anyone out, but like when people are just, they come in and out and they're like, oh, I've been a podcast for 6 years, but you keep stopping for 2-3 months at a time.
And I was like that too. When I first started, my first 3 years, I was on and off. I would do it for a couple months and then take a hiatus, then like a 9-month hiatus, and then I would do it again for a couple months and then take another 9-month hiatus. And then it wasn't until I did my 40 for 40 series, I was like, you know what? Let me like.
Yeah, but then you got into it. Yeah.
Yeah. The hardest part for me was finding a rhythm into creating ideas. Like, where is the next couple things? So what I realized I had to do is I have to start planning stuff months out. And then speaking of planning months out, like I said, baby in 2 days, I actually have up halfway through April already recorded.
Yes.
Like in the can. And I'm actually editing some episodes right now, which I'm very excited about, because what you said, this episode's coming out on the 4th.
I'll be out on the 4th. Yeah.
Then I will use this as a promo for my next episode. My next episode should be coming out at the time of this. Should be coming out on March 7th. So yeah, so February 7th. February 7th.
February 7th.
February 7th. And it is I'm collaborating with the Taste of Dragons podcast, where what we did was we played a James Bond text adventure game from the 80s and just played it live on the podcast. So like I'm reading all the prompts and they're giving all the answers.
That's cool.
And it was a lot of fun there. And like, just to give a little bit of a sneak peek of it, there's a lot of kissing involved, not between us. It's over Zoom.
You had to clarify that. Not between us.
It's over Zoom. B, gross. But it's they like to make James Bond kiss a lot of things. So you're gonna have to get you can look forward to that.
I like that. That's gonna be really fun. So guys, be sure to check that out.
Well, to tie in with that, I got to interview the developer of that game, and he'll be on the following episode 2 weeks after that.
Oh, that's cool.
That would be not March. Sorry, February. Hold on. February 21st. Yep, February 21st.
Awesome.
So that'll be when that episode is out, and his name is Raymond Benson, and he actually is one of the official authors of the James Bond books. After Ian Fleming passed away, his like foundation or whatever got other authors to take up the mantle, and for a while it was a guy named James Gardner. And then Raymond Benson took over, and he was the first ever American to write for the James Bond
That's
books.
cool. That's going to be really – so some great content coming up on the Still Loading podcast, guys. So be sure to check it out. And, you know, the whole reason I wanted to have you on with this is like we were saying earlier, this episode is interesting because with the 5-year anniversary of the Hodder Show, like I don't want to just be like I'm very proud of what I've done. I'm very proud of my body of work, and I'm very thankful and grateful for everyone who's helped me along the way and stuff. So this is kind of me putting a spotlight on some people and what they do and how they've helped, like things we've been discussing, you know, and how can I kind of put a spotlight on other people? Because it's like that's what I want to do here. I don't want to just be like, I am so great and blah, 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 because no one wants to hear that. That's boring. But if I can say, hey, here's this person, here's how they have helped me, and here's how our relationship is built up and whatever. And by the way, you know, here's some stuff they're doing. So,
well, thank you, man.
That's awesome.
It's your friendship over the last couple of years has been awesome, and it's been cool to kind of like you were the first other podcaster that I became friends with, and because of that kind of like I mean this goes for everyone. It's amazing what a little confidence will do for you. It's amazing what a little confidence goes a long fucking way.
Yes.
And I can't emphasize this enough. Like, just fucking try something. It doesn't matter if you do well or not. Because like I've done interviews with people and I don't think the interviews go well, but I release them because, you know, like, you know what? Then maybe other episodes will look better in comparison to this one, and vice versa. You know what I mean? And maybe it's better than you think it is. But always just try, because Kevin Smith talks about this a lot, and I've mentioned it on my show. I might have mentioned it on yours, but there's like the whole idea of like the why not philosophy. Like, never surround yourself with yes people or no people, because yes people will get you to say yes to stupid things. They're going to say yes to every dumb idea that you have, regardless of how good it is or not. The no people will say no to every good idea that you have, regardless of how great it is. You know what I mean? But the why not people are the ones that you want around in your life, because if it's good, they're going to be like, why not? Fuck it. Like they're in the middle ones, the ones that are willing to tell you when an idea is good or bad, but they're always along with you for the ride. Like, why not? Let's give it a shot. Like, why not do this? Why not try this thing? And that philosophy has served me well, where I finally got over some anxiety about asking different people on. That's the whole reason I've started interviewing game developers and video game composers and voice actors is because I got over that one hurdle, and I emailed literally one composer, and the rest is history. And he was nice enough to agree to come on. Austin Wintory, shout out to you, Austin. I don't think you listen to this, but still, thank you. He's such a nice guy, and that gave me the confidence to keep going forward. And if you go back even earlier than that, I had one of my first actual, like, quote unquote celebrity guests. And I'm not saying quote unquote to be mean, but like he's a you know, YouTuber with almost 100,000 subs, like, you know, 60, 70,000 subs. So he's fairly big, at least compared to me. And his name's Game Dave. Awesome guy. I consider him, I'm not going to say like a close friend, but, you know, we're close acquaintances now. Like we're actually talking about collaborating on another episode, which awesome. I can't talk about until we do that. But it's going to be exciting. So it's just freaking shoot your shot, man. Like that's all there really is to it. And I do, in some small way, give you a little bit of credit for that too, because by you reaching out to me, it made my podcast feel like, okay, maybe I am doing something right. Maybe I'm actually doing something the way it needs to be. And since I need to do better at it, but I've started to try to do that for other small podcasts where Taste of Dragons, they are by no means small, but they put, I believe on technical level, I you know, in terms of download numbers, I think I do better than them. I don't know though, but they fucking turn out fantastic content and don't get the recognition they deserve, because they their shows are so well done They are so well executed. Like they're funny, they're entertaining. They sing. They have jingles for each of their segments, which they all sing live every single time. So it's like they're putting in difficult work. On top of that, they're still doing those jingles live over Zoom. So now you're adding input delay, and their producer has to mix it all together. So they put in fantastic work and don't nearly get the recognition that they deserve. Taste of Dragons, and I've been getting to know them really well, and they're fantastic people. And so I don't think that they would have needed my help at all. But if I can shine any spotlight, because I mean their content should speak for itself, but if I can shine any spotlight, like kind of like, or like extend an olive branch is what I'm saying to other podcasts that I also like, then I'm going to try to do it, because you did that for me and it kind of set a little bit of an example.
Definitely so. And I mean, like, being able to reciprocate that yourself, and like, you know, your support over the years has always been something I've always cherished and has always been so good for me. And, you know, I could say the exact same thing for you, you know, like when you, especially with Two Guys at a Game, because at the time, even though it was a failed project, quote unquote, whatever, like, I think it was success because just it was fun for me to do, you know. And
it wasn't failure. That was success. I mean, if you're basing failure off the fact that it's still not running, then like almost every TV show is a failure.
Exactly. Yeah.
Because it always comes to an end at some point. Like everything good must come to an end, which sucks, but that's the truth of it.
And that's just the reality. Like, you know, you saw past the fact that you could tell within listening to that podcast, a couple episodes, that like, I really shouldn't have been doing a gaming podcast. But the one thing we had, and that I was very proud of, was the fact that I was the straight man, and I was able to kind of somewhat keep things corralled and heading in the right direction with the, you know, ignatic entity known as Cazador Jones, who was just a constant like.
Well, and it's funny too, because Kaz, when I first started listening, I didn't like your show, but not because it was bad, because I would get mad at Kaz's opinions. And that was literally it. Like, the show itself was fantastic. And it's funny, just to give a testament to it, just because I would get so mad at Kaz for his opinions, especially on the Labo, which I know was all bullshit, but at the same time, he still hates it secretly.
Oh, he does, for sure.
But, oh my God. Actually, you know what? Give me 1 second.
Look here.
Go fuck yourself, Kaz.
Oh!
Nintendo Labo, bitch.
Oh, man. Oh, that is fantastic. Oh.
And you can't see it right now, but over on the side there is some constructed stuff. I have the piano, and I have the motorcycle steering wheel, or the motorcycle bars.
Oh man, that is fantastic. And that is why Josh is my friend, ladies and gentlemen, because of moments like that.
Because we rambled all the way just to I could get an insult and tell Cass to go fuck himself. That's why he loved. No,
that's the reason.
And no, in all seriousness, though, I did love Two Guys in the Game, and I was sad when it went away. And in all honesty, as much as Kaz's opinions bothered me, I grew to love them, because it got me to take my gaming opinions so much less seriously, because he was just having a good time. Like, there was no maliciousness behind him. Those are still his opinions, but they were never like meant to actually offend someone. And me being this, you know, like I'm a serious gamer, I would get so worked up over it. I'm just not the type of person to, you know, like tweet at somebody like, you're fucking stupid for, you know, thinking that Master Chief is dumb or something. You know, I don't think he even ever said that. No, but you get the idea. Like, it's a video game. It's a video game. Who cares? So when Two Guys in the Game ended, I remember I was sad, because one of the things that I look for in other podcasts is for the podcast to create an atmosphere, to create like some type of like, it's supposed to feel like a different home. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Like, where you go, like when you listen to another podcast, when you finish it and you kind of be like, oh man, that was a really good time. And you don't know quite why, but you just feel that. That's what I look for in other podcasts. When you can go back and be like, I really love the vibe that whole show just gave. It's a vibe that I want to revisit. I want to go back to it and re-listen to the show, just so that way I can hear that same type of vibe or event going on. And Two Guys in the Game did that.
Definitely.
At least for me.
Well, and that's what's fun. Like, is we were so not serious and just a couple of idiots just rambling on aimlessly and having fun in our skits and all that dumb stuff, that it was like, it's such a polar opposite. And that's why I think we clicked in so well and we had such a good rapport, is like just because of that reason. And it was like, hey, this guy is basically us if we were serious. in a way, you know what I mean? So that's why it's so fun to look back on that.
And also, to be clear, Kaz, I do respect your opinions. I don't ever want to debate you because I think you'd beat me in any debate. Doesn't matter what it is. I think you'd win. So
he would just go off. He wouldn't
resign.
have any points. He just
which is why he would win.
Why he would win? He just goes off.
But no, it's been great getting to know you over these couple of years, and I know you were like, we're only going to talk for 10 to 15 minutes.
Whatever. I also said that you and I could probably
40.
go for an hour. So
you did say that. We are closing up with that. We are closing in on that. But yeah,
that's okay though. But either way, man, you know, it's been great getting to know you the last few years. It's not like we're not going to talk anymore or anything, but just ending off
here's so many more.
Yeah, absolutely, man. You know, it's cool that the last 3-ish, 4-ish, getting on 4, I guess now, years I'm getting to know you and all your support. I appreciate it. And just thank you so much, man, for coming on and doing this and being a part of this really cool thing I'm doing here.
Thank you for having me on, and I look forward to everything we collaborate with in the future, whether it's via podcast or just hanging. When the borders finally fucking open, maybe we could actually see each other and hang out for the first time.
Definitely so, man. And again, congrats on the little one. I'm very excited about that. And we'll talk, I'm sure, within the next few days or whatever.
You'll probably see something. You'll probably see a post about it once the baby's here.
So. Awesome. All right, buddy. Take care.
Peace.
Okay, would you like to bring us in?
So what happens when the forkers come on the Hodder Show? So guys, this is really, really cool. If you couldn't already tell, I'm already having a fucking blast because these 3 dudes here, there, down there, and then down there are 3 of my favorite podcasters and people in the fucking world.
You call us podcasters?
Well, former podcasters,
ex-podcasters. Yeah, if we could ever claim that title.
They were the 3 hosts of
podcasters.
They were the 3 hosts of Fork Found Movie Reviews, which was literally one of my favorite podcasts ever. And very early in my podcast career, I discovered you guys.
Like you were first.
When I started getting ready for this whole 5th year anniversary, let's have some people on
50th anniversary?
No, 5th year.
It's
50th year anniversary of the Hodder Show.
It's been a really long year.
It's been 50
way
months.
Older than he looks.
I'm actually in my late 70s. But
He's Benjamin Button.
Yeah. But basically, I wanted to have you guys on just because, obviously, first and foremost, I haven't talked to you guys in 2.5 years. How long has it been? I don't even know.
In a minute.
It's been a while. It's been over 3 years since we've recorded.
We haven't talked to each other in 3 years.
Yeah, it's been over 3 years since we've recorded.
Each other since the breakup.
Well,
no,
it was messy. There was a dog involved.
Adam got custody of Matt. I was pissed.
I did. And
True.
I did my best to make sure Josh didn't have much contact. I was bitter.
Nice.
The American way.
But that was why I was so when I started making this list of okay, I got to have people on just to basically in a weird, I guess, way say to the people on this episode, hey, here's what you guys did for me and thank you, basically, is what I'm kind of aiming to do with this. When I was writing my list out,
you're professional and shit.
Well, I wrote Fork Found and then underlined it and put a question mark. Because I said, this would be amazing to do, but I don't know if it could happen. So when I reached out, I was kind of I don't know what all 3 of you guys are up to. I said, I don't know if we could make this happen, but you guys graciously have gone out of your way to make sure that this could happen for me. So, I just want to say thank you because this is so cool to get to just interact with you guys. We spoiler behind the scenes. We already have been talking for like an hour, just all the good stuff.
All the good stuff has already happened. And that's usually how it
Yeah,
goes.
we peaked long before we started recording,
yeah.
so I'm sorry.
Oh, yeah. You guys missed a great show.
all of the good banter that everyone loves from Fork Found was head. But just really quickly, I was gonna say really was, you know, with the journey that I've been on the last 5 years, the one thing with you guys that was so cool was obviously like when I found your podcast, I was like, oh my God, this is like fucking awesome. Now, I don't give a shit about movies.
Obviously. You haven't seen John Wick.
No, I haven't actually. I know. Wick. John Wick.
Good pronunciation.
But what I
my bad.
But what I got from you guys was when I tune in, I'd be like, okay, the first, 15, 20 minutes to half an hour of your podcast, I was like, this is some of the most entertaining shit I have ever heard in my life. How can I incorporate this part into what I do? And having I used to be so hung up on structure, and especially if I'm interviewing someone, I'd be like, oh, I need to okay, I'll ask this question, then I'll ask this question. And I would have a list and everything. And now
I feel that
kind of after, I guess in a way, I experienced your guys' show to the point that I did and would interact with you guys and stuff. It's like, oh, we can just BS, and I can kind of sort of ask stuff in there. And it was such a it seems like so simple, but unless you see it happening in front of you or you hear it happening, you don't really I never really thought about it until you guys. So that was something that for you guys was it was just like this light bulb moment for me where I was like, oh, you can just literally go on, have fun, not really worry too much about structure or anything, and have a fantastic fucking podcast.
Just have this shit show of just people just saying fucking nothing for an hour and a half, and somehow it's
fantastic.
But can I?
Yeah, there was very, very little structure to our show. We knew there was an intro, and we knew that there was a song, and we knew that eventually we would discuss a movie and fork it. And that was about it. Other than that, it was a fucking free-for-all.
It was mostly post-production that even made it a podcast. I'm not trying to jack myself off, but I'm just to me, real quick, the funniest thing, and maybe it's because I'm just clueless. The first time you came on with us and you were I thought you were just being gracious.
No,
I thought you were already I thought you were already my legitimate thoughts just from your general presence and shit. I thought you were already an established podcaster, and the Hodder Show was already a thing.
He thought you were Joe Rogan.
I thought,
oh yeah,
maybe not that far, but I thought you were.
not Rogan.
I thought you were doing us a favor. And then you came on and kind of gave us head a little bit, and I was like, "What's this guy doing? They're just super nice up in Canada." And now you're talking about how we somehow influenced you, and it trips me out because.
And I mean, at the end of it,
I barely influenced my children. How did I influence you?
Right. It's funny to me because I thought you were there first. I thought the Hodder Show was there first.
Well, and I think technically I was, but
coming on our show, it's just funny. It's just I'm not, trying to disparage your comments or anything. I'm just saying, to me, it's funny because
we were just fucking idiots is what he's saying. So the fact that anybody enjoyed us and fucking said that we inspired them is just are you sure you have the right podcast?
If anything we did was cool to you, it was pure luck.
It's just by chance.
Just my feelings about it. It's funny to me.
Well, but
not funny, haha, but funny, whoa. It seems like what we did actually meant something to you, and that's kind of cool.
It did. Honestly, it did. The only thing I regret right now is I was desperately trying to find my Fork Found t-shirt. I have it. Just
the fact that you have one.
And I was trying so hard to find it. And I couldn't track it down. But
I was a legit fan, and I said this to Matt a long time ago when I had him on the Hodder Show for Creeper Sleep.
Yes. I have my Creeper Sleep the Goon.
Oh, fuck yeah.
Special edition.
Podcast Inception. That's fucking dope.
Is the back showing up?
Yes.
To the Goon.
That is podcast Inception right there.
Hey, Matt.
Fun fact. That is actually the only Creeper Sleep hoodie like that in existence.
And it's my favorite hoodie. I had to stop wearing it for a while because it terrified my children. But I finally got them to understand the whole "if it scares you, don't look at it" concept. So now I can wear it around the house.
Stop looking at your dad's
You don't like it, don't look at it.
The hood fits great, Josh. I have a problem with hoods. Sometimes I make my head look like a light bulb. It's the whole thing. The fit is great. Everything about it is perfect. I love this fucking hoodie. Creeper Sleep, bitch.
That is the only Creeper Sleep hoodie in existence that's like that.
I'm the only one who got one. If you want an autographed Creeper Sleep hoodie, holla at your boy.
He'll get it to you
right now.
Just trying to remember how we even got matched up. Like, how did we even meet each other? Was it Twitter?
TJ went to Match.com and said, "I'm looking for this," and
swiped left.
We fucking popped up.
Like with most stuff, they knew who you were, and I pretended I did too.
He's in the Midwest in the States, and he jumped on Craigslist, and he looked up M4M in romantic encounters, and
I discovered
Forktown logically came up.
Yeah.
Well, what
Rees swinging guys.
What started it was Twitter, and what I had just because this is when I was heavy into the Twitter, I just randomly found your guys' podcast of the Modern Family thing, and
Modern Family is
the episode. Yeah, the episode you guys had just put up, talking about Nightmare on Elm Street.
Oh,
and what got me, because I was like, I don't really I was like, oh, okay, this is cool, and I'm listening to it. I'm like, oh, these guys seem pretty fun. And what got me was, I think it was Matt. I think it was your imitation of him when he. I think it was either he.
Welcome to prime time, bitch.
Yes, I never heard this. Look at him. He's geeking out. That's so awesome.
I just was so loud. I have to be quiet. It's really loud.
He's gonna masturbate now. Is that okay?
But that was what did it though. And then I was like, okay. And then I had tuned in, whatever the next episode was, and I was like, okay, these guys are fucking awesome. And the one last thing I was going to say was, I said this to you, Matt, when you were on for Creeper Sleep episode. I use the word stole or steal or stolen, whatever. But the reality is there is a lot of little things that I did, mostly on my other podcast. I did Two Guys in a Game, where just the way I would pronounce words, the little things I would do, mostly when I'd said fun fact, I'd be like, fun fact. I literally said it like that, every time. And
you are shit, because that's the only way it's gonna
live on.
And now any time I say it on the Hodder Show, still to this day, here's a fun fact. I try to fit it in because I don't say it that often, but
people are like, did you just have a fucking
what the hell's wrong with TJ, man? Is he feeling all right?
Somebody has to make it cool.
And anytime I get a chance, I think I did it one time with my co-host on that podcast. He was like, okay, can I just ask what the fuck that is? Because I'm like, I'm saying fun fact, and he's like, yeah, but is that a reference? I'm like, oh, buddy. It is a reference.
Oh my God, we're a
podcast ever.
Oh my God,
a reference that no one will ever catch.
It doesn't matter.
Almost,
we did it.
It's almost as good as now I can't think of it. What was it? We were just discussing it a couple weeks ago. No, we were just discussing it a couple weeks ago. The World of Warcraft.
Oh, my Leroy Jenkins.
Oh yeah, Leroy Jenkins. We're the podcast version of Leroy Jenkins.
Yes, you are.
Oh my God, he just ran in. Me and Matt just found out what that is.
So I've heard Leroy Jenkins for years. We've heard it for years, but we didn't know where it came from
Right. We stopped being
okay.
posers about 3 weeks ago.
Yeah, I looked it up because I was like, where did this originate from?
Which made me feel great because usually I'm the poser on Fork Found, and when I found out Matt didn't know either, but I knew for sure
Made you feel
Josh
better.
knew, I felt so good. I was like, yeah, Matt doesn't know either. I'm not the only one who's completely
Take that feet.
through this whole...
Do you ever say "take that feet"? Please say you do.
I do all the time.
I said,
Oh, yeah, all the time.
this morning in the shower.
Take that feet was
Well, it
one
was
of the
like
greatest
after-
fucking lines that ever transpired on our show.
Take that feet is my only contribution to Fork Found.
Oh,
like
stop.
my only
Oh, stop.
significant.
We had like 53 episodes. I'm
Besides
sure there was
bad
one
use-
other thing that was funny that you said.
Besides bad use of gate editing techniques and like EQ,
Nah.
Take that feat, I pride myself on. I feel good about Take That Feat.
Oh, man.
I'm a tough
you
guy to
were
compliment, but Take That
No,
Feat,
really?
I will take that.
I literally had you guys on just to compliment you, and it's like that's really
Hodder,
We're taking over your show.
Taking over
Hodder
the
That's what I
show and
wanted.
being self-deprecating.
Hodder, it is super weird for me to hear you say the things you're saying. I appreciate it so much because I'm the type of person who doesn't feel like anything he does is ever worth anything.
He's a little drunk, if you can't tell.
No, this isn't a
Just from
drunk
the heart.
thing. It's not a
He
drunk
is, but
thing.
he's really that way too.
It's just
Right,
funny.
that Josh will tell you.
Yeah, because I'm the
Josh,
same way.
Am I far enough away to make it
Who
work?
knows what
You're pointing at your
Well,
dick.
ours
what the
look
order
different.
is now.
Josh will tell you.
Josh is over here. Wait, no, he's over there.
But Matt's
He's over
just
there.
high.
Josh
That's
is
why
ready.
he thinks. That's why he thinks that. But for real, like from the beginning, like the first time when you came on Fork Found, I thought it was weird because I thought you were already like a made guy. I didn't know who you were, but like everybody was like Hodder this and Hodder that, and I was like, oh shit, Hodder's coming on. and now you're talking about how much we influenced you, and you're actually bringing up like specific examples of how we influenced you and things that you've taken from us, and
Yeah.
I think it's really fucking cool.
Yeah, dude, it's
Like
huge.
I feel like if
It
I
is
never
crazy.
do another fucking podcast again, I know the Hodder Show is going to keep going, and like something that I was at least involved in.
Your guys'
goes-
episode
goes
still to this
forward
day
and
one of
goes
my
on
favorites.
in like podcast
Damn right.
history or whatever.
Shucks.
Because honestly, the fact that you've made it to the 5-year mark is fucking incredible.
Yeah, dude, you're almost 300 episodes now, 5 years in. That's fucking insane.
Do not downplay what you've done.
Well done.
I know
sir.
you're here to
Golf
suck
clap.
our dicks, but let us deep
Yeah,
throat
golf
you a
clap
little
so we
bit.
don't.
You
Plosive.
the Hodder Show.
Plosive.
The Hodder Show has far more episodes than Fork Found, and you're a great fucking podcaster. You're great on social
6
media.
times.
I see you on Instagram. I see you on Facebook. Like
You're doing your thing.
you're doing your thing, boy.
You're doing your thing. There's all.
So why don't we all just suck your dick for a minute?
Let's see it.
And let's pull that Fork Found cock out your mouth so we can
Pull that Fork Found cock out your mouth. Take
Like,
that, feet.
Maybe I'm only speaking for this square over here.
These squares fuck.
We were joking around
FYI.
earlier about how I don't understand how to point, so that's what this is all about.
There you go.
Hodder.
You're
This
pointing
is
at 'em now.
inside. I'm bringing you inside the inside and my Skeletor fingers. This square right here doesn't understand why you're appreciating us.
Yeah.
At the end of the day,
You're a great fucking podcaster, and I'm happy to be
thank you.
at least involved in a podcast where Josh and Matt inspired you. So
Yeah.
those are my thoughts. While I waste your whole 10
The
minutes.
the Forkers as a whole, no matter what, will never die in my heart because
Oh,
you guys were genuinely, especially in the early days when at the end of the day, I didn't have a lot of confidence in
You
myself
kind
with
Canadian son of a
how
bitch.
I did things and that. And, you know, when I would interact with other podcasters a lot of the time, it would be a really not great interaction, to be honest. And with
Well,
you guys,
fuck
it was
them.
like such a great interaction and everything. And I'm like, it's so fun. And I'm like, man, it's just, So just at the end of the day, I'm not going to keep going on and repeating myself, whatever, but just thank you guys.
No, repeat it, man.
You know, no, please go keep going.
But yeah, no, dude, because I'm the same way. Like everything needs to be structured and everything has to be done a certain way, or I'm going to be pissed off at myself. It seems like you're very much that way. Like, oh well, I didn't do this right. I'm going to beat myself up for that for the next week until I do the next one. So I totally know where you're coming from. It took these assholes to show me that it doesn't. It could still be entertaining, but it doesn't have to check all those boxes. So, I mean, to know that we were able to like kind of soothe some of that anxiety for you and just like help you feel more relaxed and help you feel more comfortable within your own podcast, dude, that's huge. I am so glad that we were able to do that for you. That's awesome.
It helped a lot. They really did. We're just having fun. There goes the thing popping up saying we're running out of time. So we're going to have to cut this off here, guys. But I just want to say again, thank you so much. I'm so honored and grateful you guys were able to come on and do this with me. And we were able to kind of hang out a little bit. And
we love you, TJ. And it's weird that you look up to us because we look up to you.
Yeah. Well, thank you.
Yeah. Yeah, dude, you've got a great podcast, man. I mean, you've got almost 300 podcasts at this point over 5 years for a reason. Like
you dwarf us, sir. Matt, say some nice things to teach. I keep cutting you off. Go ahead.
Yeah, no, man. It's been a blast getting to know you and stuff too over the last few years, and just all your support and everything for us when we were starting out. You know, t-shirts, etc. Really, really cool. Also, you know, going back to Creeper Sleep, that wasn't something I was sure if I wanted to do. I was kind of in
there it is.
I don't know. I was in a weird spot, you know, when I was doing it, and I just didn't really know what to do or what I wanted to do. I just knew I wanted to do something creative, and you know, you were super supportive with that, and you loved it, and you helped, you know, kind of put me on the Podbeard network and all that fun stuff. So no, man, it was a blast, and like I said, I appreciate all the support and having me on to like let me promote my shit and, you know, stuff. It was a lot of fun. So
yeah,
always, man.
Definitely. You give a lot of yourself promoting. Pretty much your entire podcast is promoting other people, dude.
Yeah, it does seem that way.
That is the definition of noble.
Yeah.
Well, at the end of the day, I want to entertain and I want to try and, you know, put a spotlight on stuff. And that's kind of what, I mean, hell, we're celebrating 5 years of this, and what better way than to be like, hey, here's a bunch of people that, you know, are important to me in this. So
here's the 5 more.
Yeah.
Fuck yeah.
50 more. Fucking
clank.
Banana piss.
80, 90 years old, still fucking doing this.
Okay. All right, Matt.
Everybody, welcome to TJ Hodder Show, where everything's racist whether we like it or not.
There's a money storm coming.
We're flattered to have been invited on.
Joe Loving, managing partner and co-owner of Meanbeard. What's up, brother?
What's going on, man? How are you?
I'm doing fantastic. How are you?
Doing well.
It's good to see you and talk to you. It's, I mean, I talk to you all the time, but no, it's good to actually physically see you on a good webcam setup in your little corner of the world there at your place with all your cool stuff behind you, including that nice black star or AC star as we are currently seeing. There we go. Oh man. But this is really cool, and I appreciate you doing this because, you know, with this whole, and you guys are going to hear me say this a lot throughout these little segments here on this pod, but with the 5-year anniversary of the Hodder Show, one of the most crucial moments that happened, and I'm not just saying this because I'm speaking with Joe right now, but it's really honestly is one of the most crucial things that happened in the journey of the Hodder Show and me personally, was when I discovered Meanbeard. And I discovered Meanbeard technically through the Hodder Show. If I wasn't doing the Hodder Show, I don't know if I would have discovered Meanbeard. There's a chance I still might have, but to the same extent, I became a brand ambassador with Meanbeard because of the podcast. When I reached out, it was, oh, this guy's a podcaster, so he's probably, you know, he might be worth bringing on as an ambassador. At least that's what I think, because, you know, I didn't have a huge beard or anything. So it's like, you know, but regardless, I'm going off. And the whole thing with why I wanted to have Joe on specifically, aside from the fact that he is the managing partner co-owner of Mean Beard, when one of the most crucial moments was when I had Joe on for an interview. And Joe, real quick, do you remember when we first linked up to do that interview? Do you remember our conversation at all?
Briefly remember the conversation. I remember more of the difficulty and setup and technical difficulties. So yeah, I do remember some of the content. Is there something specific that you were?
Well, the reason why there was two things I thought was funny. Number one was this showed to me the kind of person you are, where you were like, hey, what do you need me to do to make this the best that I can? Right. And I said, well, I mean, obviously if you had an actual microphone, that'd be great. And you're like, cool. You went out and bought a microphone. And I was like, oh, like I wasn't used to that. So I was like, oh, and you were like, okay, what else do I need to do? I'm like, I mean, if you could record on your end, you're like, let's give it a shot. Right. And like we tried to set this up. We ended up just going with, I think, a headphone mic or whatever, just because we couldn't make it happen. But the reason why that interview, aside from that, is so crucial for me was that was the first time, and you're probably going to laugh when I say this, but that was the first time I was genuinely nervous to interview someone. I was so nervous to talk to you because like I knew from our text conversations, like he seems like a really great guy. This is going to be a fun chat. But I had things so structured out for that podcast, more than I ever have, and I've never structured things out as much since then, as far as my questions. Right. Because I was like, hey, we need to hit every point. We need to make sure I'm going to ask this. He's going to answer like this, and then I'll do this, and then he'll answer like this, and it was so structured and. It was a great chat, but I am not the kind of podcaster that can follow that kind of a regimented chat. And when I go back and listen to it, I'm like, man, you can hear in my voice personally that like I'm very like I might as well have said, okay, next question. Like it was just, and that was a really crucial moment for me because I listened back to it and I'm like, man, when that pod really started getting fun was when we just near the end there, especially we started just bantering. And I was like, okay, that's what, you know, and from that, I learned that, okay, I'm not that kind of podcaster. I can have some questions ready to go and some stuff that I can, you know, obviously talk about, but I'm not someone now who overly prepares for things. Right. And that is something that I credit to that episode. That's why it's such an important episode. Number one, because it was the first time I was nervous to talk to someone. And also it was the first time and last time that I really overly structured a podcast. And since then, I have my go-to questions I always ask, but for the most part, I just keep things, like I say now, I'm just having a conversation. So I credit that episode very much to that. And one of the funniest things, because I went back and listened to it just the other day, one of the funniest things about that just makes me cringe now was I kept calling, I kept calling Chainsaw the wrong name, or not Chainsaw. I'm going to do it now because I was just listening to it. I kept calling it Lumberjack.
Oh, you did?
Yeah. I was like, oh, I said Lumberjack said, and you corrected me like 3 or 4 times. So because I had it in my notes wrong, I kept like, and again, I was obviously listening to what you were saying, but like, because I was so, okay, next question. Okay. Like I kept saying Lumberjack, and Father, you were just like, whatever. Like you finally just kind of gave up, and it was really fun. And that conversation is so cool to go back on because, again, you know, there was one question in particular. I don't remember what I asked, but it was this like minute-long question that I asked. I kept like stumbling over my words because, again, I was really nervous. And you were a pro because you're just like, well, TJ, to answer your question. And I was like, oh God, like it's just really funny to look back on compared to now 3-ish years later to where things are. So it's just so funny. And then obviously since then we did do a couple other pods, which are super fun. Anytime I get to hang out with you on the Hodder Show, which obviously we haven't done in a while. You were on my Halloween special real quick,
Yeah.
and then obviously this. So we need to have Joe Loving on for a full episode soon. But
So I got a question for you. How did you say that you tied in with Mean Beard because of your podcast? How exactly did you hear about Mean Beard?
So I discovered Mean Beard. I mean, technically it was through obviously Barry, who is the founder of Mean Beard, 30 Days Grace.
Is that how you did?
Yeah,
Okay.
but the kind of funny thing was I was at the time, especially, I was very like, I was looking for a beard company because I was like, my beard was itchy and all that. But when I discovered Mean Beard, what got me right away was when I followed Mean Beard. I did it all through the Hodder Show, and I followed it through the Hodder Show. Whoever was running the socials at the time, I mean, I don't know if it was you. I'm not sure, because I know there's been a couple people who had access to the socials at the time. When I followed, you guys followed me back, and I was like, oh, I wasn't expecting that. And I think someone commented like, oh, like, looks like you have a great show. Like, we'll have to check it out.
Yeah.
And that's
So that
what,
was-
you know, selfishly, that's what drew me to it. You know,
The timing of that was probably when I jumped on board.
Okay.
Yeah. Now that I look back on it, and I remember seeing, I think you had placed an order.
Yeah.
And then we kind of put two and two together, and then, you know, I was able to, through social media, to identify your character, your charisma, and I think that's why we kind of gravitated towards you as well.
Definitely so. And I mean, thank you for saying that, but it's when I submitted to be a brand ambassador, one thing that I had said in the thing was, hey, I have a podcast. Even if I'm not an official brand ambassador, I would love to have some kind of a relationship. So then when I was brought on as a brand ambassador, it was like, oh, you know, so I was aware of the fact that, okay, they know that I'm a podcaster. I have a little bit of an audience, you know, but when I was reached out to have you on the show, like, oh man, I think it was, after like 3, 4, 5 months or so, I placed a couple orders. I got the thank you card from that. I didn't know at the time was from you. It was just, you know, hey, thank you. Cause it was like my second order, I think. Yeah. Hey, thanks for your continued support. And I still have that card somewhere, actually. I wish I could find it. I know it's here. I know it's here somewhere. Yeah. Because once I realized it was from you, I was like, well, I got to keep that. You know, I'm a sentimental bugger. But when I would reach out to you to have you on, that was really when everything all kind of came together. When it was like, okay, Hodder Show, hey, you do the podcast, right? Yeah, how's the podcast? Oh, it's good, you know. And what kind of content do you do? And I said, I normally do music and things like that, but I also love just speaking with anybody really about whatever it is they do. And hey, would you have, you know, Joe Loving on? And I was like, yeah. Cause I mean, it's an intimidating brother right there, you know? No, so
not at all.
But I spoke to you for 5 minutes and I was like, okay, this is going to be fun.
So where has Mean Beard taken you from there?
Well, it's kind of fun because obviously this is all coming full circle, and this is actually really cool for me because we're announcing this here. Obviously, yes, I've been a brand ambassador, and I guess technically I'm still a brand ambassador as well. But from there, coming full circle with everything, I've slowly throughout the last couple of years helped out with social media stuff and website stuff. And every once in a while you might message the accountant, I might answer, you know, and specifically Mean Beard has a fantastic community on Facebook. That is, the Mean Beard mindset is fully intact in that community. It's all very positive, just really great content. I can't say enough great stuff about the Mean Beard community and the whole Mean Beard family. But with this Mean Beard community, we started getting a lot more engagement over the last, what would you say, maybe 6 months to a year, maybe? Yeah, it really has
probably 6 months or less. 6 months or less. Yeah.
It's really blown up. And basically, long story short, I have been offered a position with Mean Beard to essentially look after the community. And of course, my official title with Mean Beard, and I'm so excited for this to announce it finally here today. I am the Community Engagement Team Lead, which just sounds so impressive, which basically means if you guys are on the community page on Facebook, which I do, or the group page, excuse me, I do strongly implore you guys to go check it out because the community is filled with just some incredible people, tons of great positivity. Every morning that I go on, I am just inspired by just all of the positivity and the great inspirational people that are on that page, man. It really is amazing. The whole meme community on social media as well is like that. On top of the fact that there's some badass beards and the best beard product in the entire world, it's also has this whole other side of it. But we are officially announcing here today that I am now the community engagement team lead for Meme Beard. So anytime you guys reach out, there's a very, very good chance I'll be the one responding to you. So
right. With that being said, as far as the company is concerned, you know, we always talking with my other partners. It's one of these things. If it's almost like for me, priority is making a positive impact in the world, right? Especially during the current times that we're in with the pandemic, and at least here in the States, you know, all of the polar opposites with, you know, the politics and everything else that's going on, that we wanted to create a safe haven where somebody can go and hopefully bring forth positivity,
definitely
a positive mindset, where all that other stuff can kind of go by the wayside for that particular moment that you're ingrained within that community. So for us, that is honestly, that from a priority standpoint, that is just as important to us as what it is to sell beard care products. And it's one of those things, if I didn't have to sell beard care products, although I love them, they're the best thing in the world. If I could create a page that was specifically to help motivate and influence people in the right way, that's what I would do. Long story short, we've created both, and it's just one of those things, TJ, we're so happy that you're part of the team, and what you bring to the table with your, I mean, that's why we asked it, honestly, was just for the fact that just by your character and you're living by example, we're so glad that you're on the team, man. I appreciate it.
Well, I'm incredibly grateful, and I can't say thank you enough. You know, it's I'm so excited to really get rolling into this, and we've already got some fun ideas that we're going to do, you know, with the whole company, but also the two of us. We've talked a little bit. We're not going to say anything here right now because, you know, still a work in progress, but there's a couple fun things that we're going to be looking at. So definitely keep an eye on the Meme Beard socials. But for me, what really, really drew me to Meme Beard, on top of the fact that the beard care product is, you know, second to none, is the fact that in the community, when I started kind of slowly, like I started tagging Meme Beard and stuff, it was not just the company that had kind words, but it was a few people who I could tell were like in the community as well. That was like, oh, like these are really great people. Because before that, a lot of the bearding community I had encountered was not wonderful to people with shorter beards. So it was like, not that they were rude or anything, but just a couple companies, like just, they were not, you know, they could have been maybe a little nicer. But with the Meme Beard community, it was like immediately nothing but positivity. And like I said earlier, guys, there's some days, this morning's a great example. I got this morning, and you know, you have one of those days you're just kind of dragging your feet, and oh man, I mean, I was excited to do this with you today, so I was still excited, but it was like, oh man, like I can go back to bed for another 10 hours. Oh man, I'm just kind of dragging my feet. I'm on that community page for 5 minutes, and just with the positivity and the good vibes overall going around, it just, you can't help but just be put in a good mood and want to go out and do stuff. And that is, you know, like Joe's saying, guys, that's this whole other side to Meme Beard that is so important. Standing with purpose, inspiring greatness. That's really what the term Meme Beard, that's what it really means. It's not just the beard, it's the attitude. And that's what that attitude is.
It sounds cliche. It sounds cliche. But the reality is when you see it in action, it really does work.
Yeah, it really does.
You know, I know from a personal standpoint, some of the people involved in the community, from whether it be political affiliation, you know, different ideas, different, I don't want to say morals, but we're both ends of the spectrum with a lot of these. But the one thing is that community does is it unites one another and supports one another. It's super important for us as a company to grow that And I think it goes hand in hand. If we grow that, honestly, you know, people are going to become more familiar with our products too, and we're going to sell more, honestly. But it's just, it's like it's bread and butter, man. It's just both of them go together so well.
Definitely so. And I mean, you know, looking at the type of people in the community too, like everyone is welcome. And if I'm not, and this is just the honest truth too, if I'm not someone who is a statement of that, I am a part of that Mean Beard team with what I do with the community page and the social medias and that. And, you know, look at my beard. I don't have this huge beard down to my waist, but it's not as important because yes, obviously having a great beard is important. I mean, look at that majestic thing that you guys are seeing to my right here, but it's like on top of that, it's the people. And, you know, I mean, I feel weird saying that, but it's like, you know, that's why, you know, I'm involved who I am. It has nothing to do with the fact that, I'm this influencer who has this huge beard and all this stuff. It's just, it's, you know, it's the people. And that's really what is so important with Mean Beard. And that's what drew me to it. And that's why I'm so thankful for all of the support Mean Beard is giving me, you know, not just being a sponsor of the show and obviously, you know, bringing me on in the way that we have. And again, I'm so excited for that, to really dive into that, but also just the support that Mean Beard is given. And then specifically, Joe, you and your support has been so important to me from day one. And just thank you, because I'm very, very grateful for everything, you know, that you have specifically done for me as well. So thank you.
Oh, no worries. No worries.
Definitely. Well, real quick before we go, I want to quickly touch on with Mean Beard, what's kind of new and exciting with Mean Beard right now? Obviously, you know, we did just have something big happen with Mean Beard just the last month, technically, if you want to touch on that a little bit with the contest.
Yeah, sure. We just wrapped up the 2020 Meanest Beard Worldwide contest. We had 115 contestants representing 12 different countries, which is just absolutely insane. And yeah, it was we knocked it out of the park this year, man. Some of the stories that came through, I mean, for us, again, it goes back to what the same type mentality that we have. It's not just the beard, but the story behind the beard. Some of the stories that people shared with us, man, they were just so impactful.
Yeah.
And then also the beards themselves. I mean, you look at the top 12, I mean,
insane.
They were pretty much all world-class beards. And then you go along with the story behind it too. So yeah, that's a tradition at Mean Beard that'll never go away. Something that we always like to do. I don't know if you saw in the community, somebody posted a photo that I saw that. Actually, our top 12 was on the news in Sweden, I think, or something like that.
Yeah, so, it was. I had asked him. I said, "Hey, like, do you have any context for this? I'm just curious." Just because there was someone from that area in Sweden who was on the top 12, so they were like, "Oh, check this out," and I'm like, "That's awesome! Like, that's so cool to see."
It is. It made me smile, and although I couldn't. You know, the captions underneath the photo, sure. I had no idea what they were saying. It could have been bad. But
I just trusted the guy when he said what it was. So
yeah, I know. But yeah, that's just stuff like that. It's so real. It's so cool. And to know that we have an impact. I mean, I've had orders, honestly. I mean, I need to go back and count how many countries that we've sent. We send international. I mean, I've got a customer in Japan. I mean, he's got like 6 orders going. Australia, UK, Sweden, you know, all the countries in Europe. Of course, Canada. I mean, it's just, it's unbelievable. So anyway, we just wrapped up the contest. Kevin Boiling was crowned our champion. Kevin has a phenomenal beard, but the story behind the beard is just as inspiring as the beard itself. And it couldn't have gone to a better person. And we're looking forward to doing some collaboration with Kevin and seeing what the future holds. But just a great individual, and actually all 115 contestants were incredible. Top 12, top 3. I think once we hit the top 12, it was like one of the hardest decisions that we've ever made. Top 3 the same way. It's just put it this way, there was not a landslide vote in any of those tiers. So it was all pretty much equal.
Definitely. And I was just going to say, guys, George's not just saying that either. Like because, some people go, it was really tough this year. No, it was actually really tough this year because, and I see it because I'll speak with you, how's the top 12 going? And you're just like, it's brutally hard to choose. And, looking at the social medias, even just, you look at people and you want to see what kind of people they are. And it's like, everyone is deserving. So it's like, it was stiff this year for sure. So,
well, and the other thing too, and I don't want to leave this guy out, but Praveen from India.
Yes.
He was bringing people to our page like no other. I'm talking, what was that one? We had probably 600 comments.
Yeah.
Yeah. And shout out to Praveen for that, man. We really appreciate you bringing that attention to Mean Beard.
Definitely.
So yeah, it's just plus his beard is unbelievable. So it was just such a hard decision to make, and there's nothing strategic about our decision. It was about location. I mean, although Kevin's from the States, again, this is a worldwide competition. So your destination or your location was not part of our decision. So I just want to make sure that people are aware of that. It's just the story, the actual beard, and then the photos submitted. I know Kevin, he took the time and had a professional photos done just specifically for this contest.
Yeah.
So he went above and beyond, man. And congrats to Kevin on that. So
yes, big shouts to Kevin and congrats. And he's always someone who, again, with me personally, he's always been, very kind to me and very great to interact with. So big shouts to Kevin. He definitely deserves the title of the 2020 Meaner Spirit Worldwide Champion. And also big shouts to all 115 contestants, the top 12 and the top 3, because all of you guys are, the definition of what Mean Beard is. So thank you to everyone who entered for sure.
Right.
Definitely. So, all right, Joe, well, I know you got to get going, man. You got beard orders to fill and product to make and all that fun stuff. So I will let you go, but thank you so very much again, brother, for coming on and for all that you've done for me and for the Hodder Show. I really do appreciate it, man.
Oh, you're quite welcome, TJ. And we at Mean Beard, we want to congratulate you on your 5 years. And we're so excited for what the future holds for us, man. So we'll be talking soon, and good luck. And if you need anything, give me a shout, brother.
Thanks. I will. Thanks so much, Joe. Take care, brother.
All right, bye.
Jason Rees from Jaybird Digital Arts. What's up, man?
Yeah, baby. What's happening?
Oh, not too much, brother. It is good to see you and talk to you. It has been way too long since I've seen your wonderful face.
Yeah, it's been too long. I'm almost done with COVID and not going out and seeing people I know and love and doing stuff. And we need to do stuff again.
Yeah, it has been too long since I've sat in that office with you and shot the breeze. So hopefully we'll be able to do that again.
Hang on. When you're only times you've been in this office, I put you to work, I think, lugging t-shirts around and carrying things. I think that's more how it went. I don't think we're doing a lot of saying, hey, carry this for me, will you?
Well, I am the official assistant merch guy for Chinlock Wrestling. So
Totally, 100%.
Oh, man, this is exciting because this is actually the very first time that Mr. Jaybird himself is on the Hodder Show right there, folks. JaybirDigitalArts.com. That is JAYBIRD digitalarts.com. I got the full plug in there. And this has been literally 5 years in the making. So I think it is so cool that as much as we're definitely going to do a full episode, soon, because I want to do it in person with you. And I kind of wanted to do it around this time anyway, but we're coming up on episode 300. We got 5 years in now, so I wanted to make sure that I had you on for this because obviously you are extremely important for the Hodder Show for multiple. And I know you're going to be like, "Oh no, man," but listen, you are extremely important because without you, I mean, number one, the Hodder Show wouldn't have the branding it has, and we wouldn't have all the great logos and the banners and the interview tiles and all that stuff. And it's funny because, I mean, we'll get into all that in a few minutes here, but I want to go back because do you remember the first time that we had a conversation at all? Do you remember that? That was 5 years ago.
First of all, 5 years? Seriously, that's huge, man. That's huge. And that's kudos on you. This is the Hodder Show was your thing, and in spite of anything that any success is always built upon friends and family and people helping for sure, but you still have to put in the work. And usually after a year or two, that honeymoon period of, oh, this is fun and exciting is over, and that's when things start to fail because you lose the passion for it. But man, you're still going strong. You're here 5 years and it's legit, and I can still hear it and see it getting better all the time. So congratulations to you, first of all. And I'm enhancement talent, okay? I'm a jobber. I just help other people's businesses. I give them what they want to help improve them. So it's a team thing. I'm not responsible for anything, but I'm glad to be part of the team. So when did we first talk?
That was, I can tell you the date.
Okay, what's the date? Give me the date and I'll see if I can.
So this is kind of funny to me now, but it was April 20th, 2016. April was the first time I messaged you.
Wow. So yeah, we're coming up on our personal anniversary.
Yeah.
You messaged me?
Yeah. So
I remember our connection. Yeah, I remember
Yeah. We're not going to say who connected us because, but anyway. So I'm very grateful to that person for this relationship, but otherwise.
It's good something good came out of them, right?
Something had to.
Yeah, something.
But I messaged you because we had talked through comments about a t-shirt. And then I read back on the damn message this morning too, and I felt so bad because I was the typical. I mean, you were awesome, and I was like, "Here's my I don't know really what I want, but like, what would you charge for this?" And like, I'm so damn cheap, and you gave me this fantastic price, and I basically was like, and the whole thing was like, we needed a minimum of a certain amount of shirts, right, which is standard. So my whole thing was like, oh, maybe I can find someone who will do like a couple for me. If I can't find anyone cheaper, I'll let you know. And like, I was like, oh, I was one of those people.
You're not, dude. You're not the only one. It's no worries. That's part of what it is. Well, money is the bottom line for everyone. You know, that's cool.
Definitely,
I'm surprised at the beginning of this that the first interaction was like we were t-shirts right off the.
So
bat.
We were t-shirts, but as the conversation progressed, it was more like maybe let's just because you're like, oh, like here's how much it is for a design logo, and like I was like, you know what, maybe let's just do a logo for now, and then we'll kind of. It's like I want something that can go on a t-shirt. That was my whole. What I wanted, but also I was like, maybe I can do a little rebrand because I had a logo that my uncle did for me. Shouts to him that I did love, but I was like, I want something a little more simplistic. That's just the second you see it, you know what it is. It's very easy branding. I wanted the black and white. I was very adamant about what I wanted, and you hit me up with the first part of the logo, which was the traditional Hodder Show logo, but it had podcast on it, and I was like, eh. And then you sent me the second draft. You did was the original Hodder Show logo to a T. And I was like, hell yeah.
I got it after two. I got it second to sample.
Second one. Nailed it. And fast forward a little bit, as time went on, you did a whole bunch of other stuff for me, and we built up this great rapport. And, you know, just to be honest with you, like, I mean, I can see you like family now, man. Like you're literally, I can see you like a brother. And as this time has gone on, you know, what really did it for me, guys, and I'm going to look at the camera as I say this, what put it over the edge for me with Jason, aside from the fact that, you know, I could tell right away he's a great dude and we had a lot in common and we always had fun chatting, but for my 50th episode live cast, which was still not quite 5 years ago, but it's close enough.
Wow.
I had ordered my t-shirts and he actually got them. I think it was the day before.
Day before. Yeah. The afternoon before.
Yes. And so the day of the live cast, this man right here drove from Belleville to Orono, which is about an hour and 20 minutes, give or take.
About an hour and 20 minutes, yeah.
And surprised me live on while I was doing the live cast, which for those of you who don't know, that's the live podcast I was doing, and surprised me with the t-shirts. And 5 years later, I felt it was appropriate to dig out of my closet I have to like pull my shirt up, so just bear with me. The original OG shirt that I got from you on the stream.
Look how worn that is.
Yes.
Man. Look how worn it is. That's seen love over 5 years.
This is 5 years of wearing it basically every day for when did I get my newer shirts? Like a year and a half ago, give or take.
Yeah.
So basically for 3.5, 4 years, I wore the shirt basically every day.
Like,
I have other ones, but
that's the actual.
This is the original one that I got.
Put on
I put it on. Yeah, this is the original one, and this shirt is a perfect analogy for the Hodder Show and Jaybird Large relationship, because 5 years later, a lot of ups and downs, and Jason, just to be straight up with you guys, I mean, you've talked me off the ledge more than once when it comes to stuff with the podcast, just like, and I've talked about it before, but like, there's times where, things just wham me and I'm like, oh man, I don't know if I can continue,
Yeah, is it worth it?
Dramatic. And Jason is always someone who's just like, oh, stop it. Like,
so, you love this.
Yeah, you say it, you don't say it like that, but so that's why I think this shirt is a beautiful analogy for that, because even though it's been through some shit, it's still rocking and rolling, still fits great, and it's
comfortable.
Yeah, it's still comfortable as hell, man. I mean, don't get me wrong, I love my new shirts, but
yeah,
I felt it was appropriate to bust this out for the.
Well, I mean, I'm repping too.
Yes,
I'm hard repping too today.
Woo. Yeah, that's the original too, isn't it?
This is the original design.
Cool.
I think I wore out my first one.
Yeah.
I think it just I was wearing it a lot. We got dogs.
Yeah, no, for sure. This shirt, when I pulled it out of the closet, it was covered in fur. So I was like, uh-oh, I got it. As to how it got covered in fur in my closet, I have no idea, but that's beside the point. But man, it's just, as time has gone on, there's been countless stuff that you've done as far as, because my whole point with this episode was, number one, I mean, I wanted to have people on to thank them, and people who are important in the journey of the Hodder Show. Obviously, without good design, and I knew you were going to be like, oh, no, but without good design, without good branding, there's been people who have hit me up because they're like, yo, I love your logo. Mm-hmm. What's your podcast about? Yeah. That's happened more than once. And when I will say to someone, hey, can you send me a promo picture for the interview tiles?
Mm-hmm.
And they're like, what do you mean? And then I send them back the finished product, and they're like, yo, like, that looks awesome. And
it's really
it's
true.
So important.
It's true, and it's, I guess, a bit unfortunate, but the reality is, if whatever it is you do, a business, a podcast, an event, whatever, if the first thing people see, if it looks kind of cheesy, they're already going to have kind of cheesy in the back of their head going into it. You could surprise them for sure, but there's also a bunch of people that will just scroll right by. This can't be good because it doesn't look like, it doesn't look polished.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't have to be the greatest thing in the world, but if you can polish something up, you can just get that initial, once you get them, if you're sales, it's the foot in the door, right? And that, it's a thing. It's a legit thing. It really is, and it might be unfortunate, but every book does have a cover.
Exactly, and if your cover
completely, and God knows there's a lot of great looking stuff that you give it a listen, and you go, "What? That's crappo," right? That happens too, but you need to compete with that. You need to at least be up at a certain level, because people will unfortunately roll right past you. Your whatever your thing is, your business or event or show. So I'm glad to hear that it's not a surprise, because I've had people you've interviewed approach me and say, I saw.
I'm happy that happened. It happened really recently too, and I'm very excited about that. So.
And you people will get a discount if you say that the Hodder Show sent
yes.
you. Remember that. That's always going to apply from here to eternity. If TJ Hodder sent you, you get discounts.
Awesome, and I mean, that's the other part of it too. Aside from the fact that you've helped me out with a bunch of stuff, and you've been a sponsor on the show the entire time as well. Like, so it's cool to have that. Lately I've been going back and listening to a lot of older stuff of the Hodder Show, Two Guys in a Game, Mics and Beers, basically everything. And the one thing I always look forward to is my ads for Jaybird Digital Arts, because especially my old one where I used to. Do you remember my old one?
Yeah.
I would listed everything that you did, and then just went
big inhale,
jumped in, and I was like, yo, that was really funny. Like, that was actually really funny. At the time, I was like, this is kind of comical. Now I'm like, no, that was really funny.
Really good. Really good. Yeah, I loved it too. Super good.
Definitely. So, and I mean, aside from the fact that the designs and all that awesome stuff, you've also sent guests my way. You've had tons of ideas, and you're someone now that, I mean, I've joked about it before, but I always run everything past you basically at this point, because I'm like, I consider you're someone who's kind of a part of my little creative team as well, where I'm like, hey, here's this idea for this thing. What do you think? Or you'll come to me and say, hey, one of the best examples of that was actually with the showcases.
The showcase.
Right?
I was about to say, we were right on the same page with that. Right.
Same day.
Yep. Same time.
I was going to message you and be like, I don't really do reviews, do I? And like,
yeah, you're not reviewing. Like, if there was something negative, you wouldn't dwell on a negative thing. You wouldn't even mention a negative thing.
Yeah,
you would
I just don't like doing
You were
that.
always saying what you liked about it, and that's not a review. You're giving an artist an opportunity to shine. Their moment in the spotlight to say, here's their thing. You can judge. You listener can judge for yourself whether you like it or not, or good or not. But I'm giving them an opportunity for you to hear something new, and then that's all you're doing, and that's what it should be. I don't need to have somebody beaten down. If I don't like something, I'll do that myself. If I think
well, that's it, right? It's like, I'm like, hey, I'm presenting this to you.
Yeah.
Here's what I like about it.
Right.
What do you think? And that's probably the best example I have where it's just like,
yeah,
it was like, hey, and I know you'll have an idea, and I love it because anytime you're just like, hey, I'm like, oh, what's the next one? Because I'm like, usually it's something like really, you either tell me something really cool is happening, or you're like, hey, what about this?
I'll show you something. Yeah,
yeah.
Hey,
And I'm like,
I made something.
And I it's like Christmas every time I see that hey pop up. I'm like, ooh. Not this, we can't just be like, hey, what's up? Like, oh, what's going on? But like, it's just, it's fun. But that's probably the best example I have of that.
Yeah.
We were on the, and seriously, guys, like, again, I'm looking right at you guys when I'm saying this. I will send this man like the best example I have of it was actually for the Podbeard Network logo, because I did a design of it in like paint. I'm not even exaggerating. And I was like, this. You were like, okay. And then the first draft, you got it first try. And I was like,
get out. It wasn't the first one. No way.
It was the first. Yeah, it was the first try.
Wow. Nice.
At least that's how I remember it. I think the only thing I think we added was just the coloring. That was it. That was the only difference.
Yeah, that must have been it. That's what I'm
the original, because I had the dude and the microphone and the headphones and the beard. And I was like, something kind of like this. And you were just like, yeah. And I was like, yes.
Yeah. I think we might have, you know what? I think we might have changed the font. There might have been
there was a font change eventually, yeah, but
that's not much of that. I can't guarantee that type of service to everybody either. I can't get it the first or second time every time.
Man,
I'll stick with you until we get it, though. I can promise that.
Definitely so, guys. I can't say enough about everything Jason's done for me, not just with the Hodder Show, but also two guys in a game where
that was fun. That was fun. I love the cartoon character faces were great. That was a fun one.
I came to Jason, was like, hey, I know this isn't really, because he even said to me, like, this isn't really my style of what I do, but like, let's do it. And I was like, just whatever you do, we'll love and be happy with. Because it was like, I don't want something that looks like South Park. I don't want something that looks like Family Guy. Like, I don't want something that looks like The Simpsons. I want something totally unique to us.
Yeah,
I want it to be kind of like I want you to do, because like I want it to be in your style, where it's kind of like, I don't know what the word I'm looking for is. It's like it's very clean and polished, but it's also like it looks like it was just like it looks like it was drawn by hand.
Yeah,
right. Like it doesn't look like it was like animated in a. Like I don't want that.
You don't want your version of something else. You want
exactly
your own thing. That was fun, and you ran with those for a long time too, with memes. Like that was really fun. That was really good for a long time.
That was some of the best stuff with two guys in a game, man. Was doing those memes and putting our heads on different stuff, and
and the different expressions were just hilarious to get them to fit right.
Well, and that was the thing too, that you were like, "Hey, I have this idea for expressions," and I'm like, "What?" And you sent me, and again, guys, this is a testament to Jason. Like he sent me versions of our faces with. I think it was like 4 or 5 or 6 different base expressions. And I was like, and they fit us perfectly.
Yeah.
Like it wasn't like, hey, here's both of them happy. Here's both of them sad. It was like, okay, here's 5 for you, one of which is you laughing because, that's all I basically did on that podcast. Here's one of you kind of looking annoyed because, again, dealing with Cazador Jones, sometimes I would give him the side eye. And, here's one of you scared. Because like, oh, geez, man. And then, like, here's the normal one of you getting defeated by Kaz in a video game. And I'm like, that checks out.
Yeah, fun.
you know, and then he sent me the one of Kaz, and it's like him going off, him giving like an annoyed look, him laughing. Like, it's just like, you could tell, number one, that Jason actually listened, and like, it's like, okay, I'm not going to do base expressions where they all are the same expression for the person. It's like, let's do ones that are unique to them.
Mm-hmm.
And that was really what was so cool about it, was like, you know, it wasn't just like, hey, here's one of you sad guys sad. Here's one of both of you sad. Here's one of both of you laughing. Here's one of, like, they were unique and they were different. And that was something that really put it over the edge with you guys in the game, man. And like, I mean, I could keep going for hours and hours and hours. And when we have Jason on for an official interview, we will definitely,
we'll get more in depth with it.
Talk about all this. But just to end it off, man, you know, I just want to say again, thank you for everything, because these last 5 years, I mean, like I said, I consider you like family at this point, man. And you've done, again, I know you won't admit it, but like the amount of how much you've done for me, and the amount of, you know, I say counseling in the sense of like you're counseled because you are a wise individual, especially when it comes to creativity and life and everything. You know, I just appreciate it, man. And thank you for everything. And I'm very much looking forward to continuing to grow with you. And, you know, even this, like the overlay for this episode you're seeing, like that was Jason. And
where is it?
Hey, Jason, I need an overlay. What size is it? I don't know. That's just the example of the kind of stuff that he'll be like, okay, let's figure it out. Let's
send
get
me a
it,
screenshot. And
let's get it sized. And that's the kind of example of stuff that Jason does. So just thank you for everything, brother. I can't say enough again how much I appreciate you.
I guess, you know, you're welcome seems like a weird answer. I mean, it feels like we're just part of the team at this point.
Yeah.
And we both just want the best product. And I've said it a lot. You said it on my commercials, which I appreciated. Is like, it's really true. My business, what I do, doesn't mean anything unless what I'm doing looks good and my clients are happy. So it's really a two-way street. I get so many ideas. I'm just helping people to develop their ideas a lot. A lot of that is what it is. I mean, I have a lot of creative input, obviously, and I project what I know can happen to make things happen. But it's usually built off of a drawing of a stick person or whatever, you know, like
on a napkin, you know. Okay, listen, here's this idea I got. So this is where this is going to go, and then this guy needs some detail. It's like,
that's totally helpful, though. Like it might sound silly and like I don't know what I'm doing, but I'm sure I've said this to you, and I say that to almost everybody that I work with. Is most people say, okay, where do we start? I need whatever, poster, a logo, a shirt, whatever, and then they say, I don't know this process. Where do we start? And I say, that's the thing. We just need a start point. And it doesn't even matter what it is, because we're going to build off of it. But all I really need to know is a general style or a color scheme, or just give me something that I can put anything together that you can say, oh, okay, now that I visualize it, I like less of this and more of this. And then okay, now we can start to fine tune it. Like learning a song, you know, the basic chords first, and then you start noodling out the fine details. Tighten the screws on everything and make it a polished product. But you need that start point. And you and I work together really well like that, because you at least have some idea of what you want that gives me somewhere to start, because that's the hardest part. So I mean, you're a success, and what you're doing is just all of it, really. Like I'm supplementing and helping you build something that is already cool and great. I'm just helping you push it up a little bit. I'll support you with your ideas, and that's all I do for people, really. I'd like to do more original artwork and things where I can just sort of sit here and focus on something I just make that has no purpose. I'm too busy to do that, I guess. Right now.
you have a good problem where you're always busy.
Yeah, well, I always try to keep busy too, and when I don't have constant jobs, I'm doing something that I'll be able to use in the future, or sourcing other things, or networking, or whatever, reaching out to people. So, I mean, my success is your success, and vice versa. I think it's just a good fit, and we're lucky that we're friends to boot now. Like we can, you know, you can just show up and we can just go see wrestling together, and not even, it's not a business relationship. I don't feel, and I'm sure you feel.
That's the other part of it too. We're on top of the fact that, yes, you're a professional contact for me, but also it's like, you're just my friend, and I like hanging out with you. So
Which is
those,
cool.
Those car rides to Kingston, I love those. So
yeah, we've done a few of those of me not knowing exactly where we're going. But we figured it out.
Whatever. We got there.
We got there. Oh, good. No amount of snow is going to stop us.
Damn right. Brother. Well, it was great to talk to you again, guys. We're definitely gonna have Jason on sometime soon-ish for a full chat. I'm hoping we can do it in person, but I'll keep you guys posted on that. Again, Jaybird Digital Arts, folks. Behind Jason, you can see that is Jaybird digitalarts.com. Go there right now. Let them know that Hodder sent you. I'll get a little discount ski on design work.
You got it. Every time. You mention the Hodder Show, you're getting discounts.
Damn right. Brother, thank you very much for coming on, man. And here's the 5 plus 50 plus 60 plus more years.
Yes, big lucrative. We're coming into the money years now, buddy.
Yes.
And I'm riding the Hodder Show coattails right to the bottom.
You'll be the first to get the check. Don't worry.
Yes, brother. Congratulations on 5 years, man.
All right, thank you, brother. I'll talk to you later.
All right, take care.
All right, guys, there you have it. That was the 5th year anniversary special from the Hodder Show. I hope that you guys enjoyed it as much as I enjoyed putting it together. That was so much fun. I think you can really see it on my face how much fun I had during all those conversations. Running it through, I mean, I think Jason Rees on the show finally. That was so special getting to finally have him on. You guys will definitely see a full episode with him soon because that was just a blast. You know, Jason's done so much for this podcast, and I can't thank him enough for everything that he has done for me over the last 5 years. It's been just amazing. Of course, Brandon Bowden, former producer of the show, as well as the official voiceover guy for the Hodder Show. It's great, always fun getting to chat with Brandon. We hadn't had him on the podcast in a little while. Of course, Mr. Ryan Wood, my co-host on Mics and Beers, and an OG guest of the Hodder Show. Always fun getting to chat with Ryan. Just had a quick one with him, but he was gracious enough to make some time for me, so I do very much appreciate that. Of course, Mr. Joe Loving from Meanbeard. What can I say? The news that I am now officially, it has been announced that I am the community engagement team lead for Meanbeard, which essentially means that I'm helping out with social media stuff and engaging with the community and the social media and that. So that's super exciting. I'm so happy and so just thankful for that opportunity from Meanbeard. You know, I consider a lot of the Meanbeard crew like family now too, so I can't thank him enough for that. And for the record, while I was doing that, I kept messing up my title because I was like super nervous to announce it. So that's why I had to keep reading from my phone, just for the record. I wasn't like, it was just kind of a weird thing. I kept like messing it up, and he was like, dude, it's not that long. And I'm like, I can't fuck it up. So I just finally was like, screw it, let's just read it off the phone. Of course, the guys from Outshined, that was a lot of fun. Thank you to the Outshined guys for all their support over the years and being the first and the official house band of the Hodder Show. I mean, they're always going to be the Hodder Show house band. Let's be serious. Of course, my man Chris from Drag, that was a blast getting to chat with him. Of course, Anthony, that was fun because I hadn't spoken to Anthony in like 2.5 years, and he had just gone through something really tragic, actually literally the week before we recorded that, with losing both of his grandfathers. And he was, gracious enough to take the time to talk to me, and we had such a fun chat. It was so great getting to reconnect with you, Anthony, and that was a blast, buddy. We'll definitely chat again very, very soon. Then, of course, I have to thank, too, the fact that he was there kind of as a representative from Out of My League. Big shouts to all the Out of My League guys. They were big supporters of the podcast in the beginning, so I wanted to make sure I had someone on from Out of My League. Of course, my man Jacob Grondy from, I almost said the old one, too. He hasn't done that podcast for a while. But from Curtian Jerkin, of course, he has been a big supporter of the show. We don't talk as much as I would like because I always enjoy my chats with him. But let me tell you, we always have fun, man. And he's a great guy. I'm glad we got to have him on. I don't think he realized how much he helped me in the early days when I had him on the podcast, So I wanted to make sure I had him on to thank him properly for that. Of course, Mr. John Ward from Nothing Serious. That was a blast getting to chat with John. He made it work for me on that. We only really had one day we could make it work, so we got up super early to help me out with it. So, John, I appreciate it, my brother. Thank you for all of your support, as well as to Ed. Thank you very much for all your support, buddy. You've been a supporter from day one as well. And, of course, Connor, thank you for all your support, buddy. I very much appreciate it. Of course, we had Mr. Cazador motherfucking Jones himself made a very rare appearance. My former co-host on Two Guys in a Game and my future co-host on another podcast we want to do. That will happen one day. I don't know when, but it'll happen. It's great seeing Kaz. Again, he really went out of his way to make sure to take the time to do this for me. He has a super crazy schedule, so we had like we had like an hour window, and he took the time to do it. So Kaz, thank you so much, buddy. It was so great getting to see you. I haven't seen him since basically both of us left our old jobs, and I didn't really talk to him too much, and it was great getting to have a little chat with him on that. And he's all grown up, and he's all rugged with his beard and everything. So that was really, really fun to see him and that. And then, of course, last but not least, hell, guys, Folk Fan movie reviews. What's not to like about that? They were literally one of my favorite podcasts. I hadn't talked to those guys in a while. I reached out to them. They were like, it's going to be tricky, but like, let's do it. Let's make it happen. And the three of them made it happen for me. We had a blast in doing this. They actually have decided they're going to start doing podcasts once in a while again. So that was something that was unexpected from this. But, man, I'm so happy that they're doing it because I love them. And, hopefully if you go to their YouTube channel, I believe you'll find some stuff there for fan movie reviews. So go check it out. And I want to thank everybody who supports this podcast. Thank you so much. There is a few people I wanted to reach out to have on, but I just ran out of time. This was a pretty quick process as far as, getting people booked to do this. I had a list of people I had to go through. So, it was really, really tricky, man. And, I just realized I forgot Josh Covel. Josh, buddy, I'm sorry. Big shout out to Josh Covel from Soul Learning Podcast. Literally one of my best podcasting friends. I had a little list in front of me to make sure I didn't forget anyone. And I realized that Josh's name was attached to something else, so that's why I missed you. But Josh, thank you for all your support on the podcast, man. It means the world to me. Thank you so much. Ours was the longest segment because him and I just love talking about podcasts and shooting the breeze. So that was a really fun chat. But back to what I was saying, basically just thank you guys so much for everything, for all of the support. It means the world to me. To be going this long and to have the support that I do, it's amazing. And like I say all the time, and I said a whole bunch in this interview, I'm not doing this to be famous. I'm not doing this to make money. I'm not doing this to get in somewhere else to do something. This is something I started mainly as an excuse to stay in touch with people from my old life working at Gigs Music. And now it has grown into this amazing thing that I get to talk with all these just incredible people and get to share their music or share their story. And I get to have the best seat in the house for the whole thing, man. So it's amazing. And, I get really sentimental about it, but 5 years of doing this, it's a hell of a commitment. It's crazy to think about. I've put, my heart and soul into this podcast, and I hope that it shows. I really do. And we've got some exciting stuff coming up. I got a few interviews coming up that you guys are really going to enjoy them. I'm really excited to share them with you. But that's going to do it for me here today on this Hodder Show 5th year anniversary special. If you are still watching, seriously, like you're the best to watch that whole thing and then still be here for this. You're seriously the best. Thank you so very much. Give me a fist bump. Boom. Actually, screw it. Give me a hug. Come on, bring it in. Bring it in. Come on, bring it in. All right. Okay. All right. Okay. I love you. I love you. Thank you very much. With that, guys, I'm going to sign off. I will catch you next time on the Hodder Show. Thank you so much again for 5 years. Take it easy, everybody.